Welcome in, everyone. My name is Scott Wilkinson. I'm a professional body piercer. I've been doing this a long time, actually since 1994, and I have a couple of really good friends with me today. You probably remember Kelsey. She's one of my other body piercers. And my other good friend, Billy York, all the way from California. Billy is a body piercer who's not currently piercing because he's got a lot of businesses going on, and he also does some really cool, well, tell us what you do, Billy.
Well, some of what I do is why I'm here right now. I'll travel the states and sell body jewelry to some of the better body piercing studios out there. And I brought just a couple examples of what we do. For example, some of our stone plugs from inch to 2-inch are a great design.
See it right on the other side of the mic stand there, yeah.
That people with, okay.
You can't zoom in too much today. I wish we could do better with you. But,
okay.
But you know what? We'll have a link to the site on the bottom down here, and you'll be able to go check out those.
Just an example, our inch to 2-inch design.
What stone is this?
That's rhodonite right
Rhodonite.
there. They have the designs are a deep concave design where a lot of the weight is shaved off. There he had red tiger eye, and it has they both have a very strong flare, so people can shake their heads and be sure that nothing is going to be coming out. It is these are the most comfortable pair of plugs that anyone will ever wear. Every piercer says that for 2 decades.
And a lot of people don't understand if you don't have that size yet. But when it fits right, it's like that proper clothing. It's just right, and you just know. And sometimes you're like, you pay the price of vanity and wear something slightly uncomfortable for certain reasons. But you don't have to do that here because you're getting an amazing stone with something that's done properly.
Very properly, and throughout the year, that's what's so funny, throughout the years, stone plugs are still being made, but not always with this amazing design, and it's just so funny that all these years have gone by and no one's really wanted to replicate our design or do it really well, and everyone's a huge fan of it, and it's body piercers out there that they're the ones that'll tell you, these are the ones that are most comfortable ever.
Personally, so I own maybe 12 pairs.
Yeah, I know, right?
Of plugs. Every year
from
Billy
Safe
comes
Products?
in. Yep, from Safe Products. Every year when Billy comes to visit, I always make sure to pick up at least a pair. But yeah, no, double concave on each side. It definitely takes a lot of that weight away when you wear stone plugs like this, especially larger versions. So to fit my ears, the heavier the stone, the more sore your ears are at the end of the day when you actually do take your jewelry out. But even taking like these pieces out, it's nice and smooth on the edges as well, so it doesn't have that lip on it that a lot of pieces would, where it almost feels like cutting. So super comfortable.
You're reminding me here that the end client, the ultimate client, that person that we are talking to right now, is the person that needs to know that if they feel they can't wear stone plugs and they're a big size, I'll guarantee you it's because they just haven't worn the right pair.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. And that's probably very true. What about people who have thinning ears? Is it still safe to wear heavy plugs on thinning ears?
I mean, yes and no. So, I mean, long-term wear, anything that's weighted down on thin lobes. You know, when I wear heavier stuff like this, it's easy for me to get to the next size up, but I was also at 2.5 inches at one point. So it's like my tissue, my ears just have that tissue memory of like being expanded to that size. But I mean, even with thinning earlobes, these stone sets of jewelry would totally be fine to wear just because it has like the minimized weight. You know, a lot of that weight in the middle is just...
And of course, you'd want to be aware of the type of stone you're wearing because some is actually heavier than others. I picked
absolutely.
up some. Billy just came to our shop the other day, and we just restocked up on all our stuff, so you got to check it out. But anyways, there's definitely a weight difference between each piece. So you pick one up, and you almost have to look to see, is there 3 sets in this one? Like this one's really heavy, this one's really light.
As body piercers, you will know throughout the years that a client will choose hematite or hematite over any other stone if they are wanting to continue to stretch up, because that is an extremely heavy stone.
Heavy.
So you're familiar that they'll want to go for that with the intention of it weighting it down over a few weeks.
Pretty awesome. Awesome. We'll get back to this in just a second. I just want to do a couple shout outs here because we have not done that yet. What do you say that? Linnea Anderson, greetings from Denmark. Glad you're in here today. Sorry we started late, everyone. We had a little technical difficulties, and I'm still expecting a phone call. So if I get that phone call, I might have to leave, and they'll keep you guys entertained till we come back. But anyways, we also have Lokrian7, love from Ireland. Welcome in. CT, howdy, y'all. Welcome back. Glad to have you here. Christine says, yay. Hi, y'all. So excited to be tuned in today, watching from Iowa. That was my old neighbor. I was from Minnesota, and they were just south of us. So pretty cool.
My
Glad
mom
to have
lives
you here.
in Iowa, and I have a lot of friends and family in Iowa.
You do. It's a small world, isn't it? Cool. And Kelsey Parsons says, hey, I think I was the first viewer. Thanks for being here. We love having everyone here. The more the merrier. So tell your friends about us to make sure they can tune in as well. And who else we got going on here? We got Miles Slavinsky. Got a first question here. So I got a nose piercing almost 2 months ago, and the tip of my nose is pretty much paralyzed. What could that be? Or why could that be? That's
pretty bizarre. I've never heard of someone's
paralyzed. Would a metal reaction? No, metal reaction wouldn't do something like that.
I'm not really sure. I would maybe seek out a doctor or a nerve specialist. Not really.
There's nerves throughout your entire body, and some are more dangerous than others. And I've never heard of this before, but I really don't know. I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if it was bad jewelry.
It could be causing a lot of problem and numbness because of some sort of reaction.
Bad jewelry, trauma from the initial piercing itself. Did they have to pierce you like multiple times, or did it hurt when the jewelry was put in? There's, you might have been a little bruised, and now it's just kind of starting to get back to normal. I'm not really sure.
And if you mean paralyzed, like you used to be able to wiggle your nose and you can't now, that might come back. But if it feels numb, that's not quite normal.
Sometimes swelling will, make it hard to do normal activities with your normalness.
Or take away from some of the sensation.
Exactly. So maybe give a little bit more time, but...
Yeah, but also talk to your piercer and let's take a look at the jewelry, make sure it's good quality jewelry, doesn't have scratches, nicks, dings on there. You also got to be aware of your daily activities. Are you getting caught and yanked on every single day where it's so swollen and so upset?
Yeah, how are you caring for it,
The wound wash, there's a lot of factors, but you need to look into this and figure this out. Sorry we can't give you a more solid answer here. All right, and Rachel Carter says, hello from Yorkshire in the UK. Welcome in. And CT said, I thought I was first. You're all welcome. It doesn't matter who's first, second, as long as you're here. That's what's important to us. But thank you for being here right away, too. I do appreciate it. And most of us logged on at the same time. Pretty much. And Ash asked, can you pierce through an earlobe scar? Kind of depends on how old the scar tissue is.
And I would say the extent of the scar, how big the scar is.
If it's an old piercing scar, chances are yes, but if you had a big gash or a lot of scar tissue there, that could be an issue. There's scar tissue removers which can minimize this. I always like to tell people, if you're getting pierced through old scar tissue and you have discolored tissue, a lot of times that discolored tissue stays there until you get rid of it, and you can't get rid of it with a brand new piercing. So get your skin looking as good as normal, massage it, vitamin E oil.
Did you say earlobe scar tissue?
Earlobe, yeah.
Okay, well, there's a couple thoughts that come to mind too on top of everything that you just said. Earlobes heal amazingly well, and so I'd be more concerned if it was in any other part of the ear. So like you were saying, the hot showers and the massaging are important. But yeah, I mean, gun to my head, chances are you're going to be able to pierce that area.
Yeah, chances are, unless it's like overly scarred is what we're talking. There, I just came back in. I don't know what's going on here. We were having problems last time too. But anyways, if you just feel that bump in your ear, that's totally normal. Everyone has that. There we go. I can hear it a little bit better again. Now it's back. Is our sound going in and out? I can't quite tell here. It is going to my headphones. Gone again. It is disappearing and coming back. I'm not sure why it keeps cutting out like this. We're plugged directly in. I apologize. We'll keep going, and if we have to restart, we will restart. But we're back to normal again. So, but I'm sorry. Sorry to cut you off, Billy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I couldn't hear you anyway. So I mean, it's like
we're just talking about. We don't see the scar tissue on the earlobe, but gosh, it's got to be really bad if you can't pierce it again.
Yeah.
The earlobes are just so vibrant and healthy and great blood flow and so resilient.
They're one of the quickest and easiest to be healing ones. So yeah, absolutely. And we'll do another question before we talk about Billy about some more of his products that he sells and does. Do nostril piercings get flare-ups too?
Absolutely. All piercings can get flare-ups every once in a while. Some piercings can start to reject out of nowhere, and it's like, why is this happening? Your body just reacts to it in a way. So yeah,
yep, absolutely. Even just like this, you can have a piercing for 10 years, you get it caught on a towel or a shirt just right, and bam, and things just like, it's like square one. It's like, what happened? And it's like, it's easily irritated. So you just always got to be nice to your piercings.
You could tell your hairdresser to be careful, and they're still going to maybe snag that helix, and it's got a couple weeks of crusties.
Yep, everything does that. So, and I didn't mention this in the beginning here, but we are taking questions, as you can see. So if you have a question about a body piercing, just ask us thoroughly as possible. If you just say, hey, how do I get rid of this bump? I got to know what piercing it is, how you're healing it, how old it is. So ask a thorough question and you'll get a really good answer. Cool. And we're going to talk to Billy again, because Billy here is a tattoo / piercing studio owner and also a collector's gallery. So, well, we should also go back to, you're also a rep for Safe Products. Yeah. Because we didn't quite finish this one up. Yeah. Now, how do people find your products? You said just the good shops in the town? Is that how?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We've always stuck to the upper echelon of shops, that's for sure,
So not anyone can just buy this stuff that easily.
Right. No, we have to sell to studios. We can't just sell to people on the street. So we encouraged our clientele, if they're interested, to hit up their local studio and then see if they could hit us up to get a product. Safe Product at Safe Products Body Jewelry.
Okay.
Is our Instagram. That's a good way of to get a hold of the owner, Tim.
Awesome. And also, people can also look at some of the jewelry and stuff you've sold there in the past. There's quite a collection.
Absolutely. That's the point. We just have had, since we've been around since the 90s, we've had thousands and thousands of jewelry lines and a dramatic selection of jewelry, lots of different genres. So a shop may not need this, or this, but they could totally use some of these or some of these.
It's always fun seeing the new pieces you come through with.
Oh, yes. It's always fun showing them.
Other than the stone plugs, which they've seen, what other kind of things do you have? I see you have a couple other products.
Yeah, I brought in like one of our heavyweight best sellers throughout the years, the eagle claws.
Check this out. That's cool.
So metal hanging designs is one of the popular things we've done throughout the years. This has been a hot seller, one of our many hot sellers. It's a super comfortable design, must be 2 gauge to wear, made out of white brass, and super sharp talons, and such a great design that if you are leaning over, like a tattoo artist or piercer or anyone who leans over that design, it's not going to fall out. Just a great design.
Balanced, yeah. They're super, super cool. I know when people come into our shop, they see the stuff, and it's what I always tell them. It's like, if you're not sure where it goes, it's probably for ears. It's one of the most famous comments, because like there's so many, like someone would see this and I would never guess it's jewelry, but once you see in the ear, you're like, oh my god, that's so perfect for an ear. Well, it's designed for the ear, so it's they're pretty cool. Cool. What other kind of things are you guys?
Well, one of the go ahead. Why don't you, my friend, grab that pair? So what? Okay. What are you doing? Just bringing them closer?
Just bringing them closer.
Oh, okay, great. Well, there was one pair in the metal hanging design staying in the same category. I thought was kind of neat. Now, slightly thick at a 14 or maybe a 12-ish gauge, but anyone who has a regular-sized ear hole that's maybe a little bit bigger And a 12 gauge can wear that. It's, it's just a fun piece. You got a beetle?
Clicker style.
Yeah, like a little clicker style.
Hinge.
It's got a nice hinge, so you could put it in and take it in and out yourself.
Real nice hinge. I can't even remember.
The first time you do it, it might be a little tricky, but you get the hang of it. So that's been a popular design the last couple of years.
And what we're talking about by the 12, if you haven't stretched your ears and you just have normal earrings, but you've had them pierced for like 100 years, or maybe if you're not as old as me, maybe only like 10 years or so, a lot of times they're stretched out enough where it doesn't take much to get to something like that.
Yeah, it's important for us to sell stuff for people with stretched ears, but also stuff for at 18 and 16 gauge for people with normal sized ears or regular holes, whatever you want to call them.
So here's the deal. Today, my shop is closed because we're having power problems. So that's why we got the later start. I might be expecting this phone call.
That's why I'm here.
But we get to do this as long as we need to do it today. And we really get to sit down and talk to Billy about these things, because we were talking about stuff last night like biocompatibility, and I was just, like, these are different metals than you're normally used to seeing, but there's some things that Billy pointed out that I didn't really realize. Do you remember what we're talking about here?
Was it the fact that I worked for that company, or
the
was
age
it
thing?
the age?
How older people sometimes can wear.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's seeming like, so as a body piercer throughout the years, we have clients that just simply can't wear silver earrings or nickel-based earrings, and earlobes, as we mentioned earlier, are very forgivable. They're very resilient. But some people are so sensitive, have such an allergy, such a reaction to bad jewelry like nickel-based stuff, perhaps silver, that they have to wear good jewelry. They have to come to studios like ours.
Yeah.
One of the very few studios in America that carry really good, what we call implant grade jewelry.
And what most of the customers call it is real jewelry.
Real jewelry, right?
Because the other stuff is fake jewelry.
Yeah, now that we've been doing it for so many years that our clients are catching on. They're knowing stud guns are bad, and they're knowing that there's such thing as good jewelry. But to get to answer your question was, it seems like metal sensitivities are higher percentage of them in the younger kids these days. The younger generations seem to have a higher percentage of metal sensitivities. Are you seeing something like that?
Everything sensitivities, like even allergies and everything. Like my son is allergic to blueberries, of all things. It's just like sensitive to everything. Like I can only have like specific like laundry detergents and everything, and it's just I just feel like this
and
whole younger generation is just getting worse with allergies.
Is this getting into the gluten conversation too? Is it all
how much of this is tied together?
Yeah, I'm so very curious.
You think about it, like when we first started here, there was like the Wild West of piercings where people were using a bunch of random things, experimenting. Is it because we were introducing all these bad metals to our body back in the day and we're passing it on to the generations? Is it for long-term use of bad products? Is that what's causing the problems? Is it our diets? It's probably a combination of a little bit of everything.
No, it's we'd love to be able to see if we could break it down, all those reasons and more, and the percentage of how they affected it.
Exactly.
But we can't. But some of those things ring true.
But it's so back to the beginning here. It's like generally some of the older generations can wear these a little easier than some of the younger generations. But you do something different to your jewelry too, don't you?
Okay, yeah. So the metal designs we've shown here are made out of white brass, yellow brass, and copper. Those are not they're not very great materials. Okay, now a lot of people can wear them in their lobes, no problem. Some people can't. Now, to get to what you just said, do we do something different? Yes. For many years, we've put a thin, clear ceramic coating around our metal designs. For one thing, it prevents them from getting green and gunky and patinaed throughout the years.
Because metals do that. Yes.
As they do. The other more important thing is for biocompatibility. That thin, clear ceramic coating on the wearing surface is going to make the lobe a lot happier and get along with it better. That thin, clear ceramic coating will wear off over time.
Okay.
At that point, if it does, or when it does get green or patina, a polishing cloth is great to get all that off. But
it's just more maintenance is all it is.
That's all. Now, a polishing cloth could leave behind a little bit of the gunk to make you sensitive. So if you're going to use a polishing cloth to rub it off and clean it off, rinse it off really nice in the water.
Good to know.
In the waters.
Good to know. That is awesome.
I will say, as somebody who has a very large collection of the brass, weighted sets, I think really the only things that I own are all safe products, but I do wear, if you've ever seen me wear the weights on live or even on Instagram, everything does have the ceramic plating, and as somebody who does have a sensitivity to most materials and everything, I have never had a reaction to any of the jewelry. I also do a lot of long-term wear. I think one of my first pairs of weights that I ever bought from Safe Products was 7-8 years ago-ish.
Yeah, gosh,
Yeah.
I was
It's been a long
wondering
time.
about that earlier. How long we go back?
One of my pairs has finally started to get a little bit of wear and tear, but again, it's one of my absolute favorite pairs, and I wear them all the time, a little bit, but still no reaction. So
nice,
really good product.
That's
Pretty
great.
cool.
Really good products. Definitely 10 out of 10 recommend.
We are going to pause for just 1 second here because Andriana has a super chat in here, and that kind of jumps to the top. It took me a couple seconds. We wanted to wait for Billy to finish the story, but she says, thank you for all the information you give. I recently had a septum piercing, no pain and no bleeding. I wanted titanium retainer to heal hidden. Before turning it up, it looked crooked. Is that normal? Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell with a retainer, but septum piercings need to be straight in two different directions. It needs to be straight this way as well as this way. So if it looks crooked either one of those ways, it could be crooked, and it kind of sucks to heal it up crooked. The best bet is to take it out and start over. But if you're not sure, go talk to your piercer, see what they say, talk to some of your friends. Keep in mind, you got to look at your whole face, not just your nose. You want that ring to lay flat to your face, not just flat to your nose, because sometimes your nose could be off a little tiny bit too. So I just kind of want to point that out. It's tough to get those straight, but if it doesn't look right, it's probably wrong. Any opinions?
I'll add, you did touch upon something, and I want to piggyback on it, just reinforce it. You said sometimes a retainer is going to give off a more crooked look. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's true. It is sometimes true that you can change a regular staple-shaped retainer out for perhaps a CBB, a circular barbell, a horseshoe, perhaps you may call it. And you may find that horseshoe or CBB looks pretty darn good and straight, whereas the retainer did not.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you might be able to open that ring up a little bit if you need to flip it up inside your nose to use it as the retainer for the remaining part, which won't distort your nose as much.
Yeah, that was a part of every septum I did was when, hey, I said we might want to open this up more. We might want to close it down more to get that, to open the diameter or close the diameter more, just a little bit more for perfect comfort or perfect fit up inside the nose.
I've been doing that for years. It makes such a difference. It makes the ring a little bit out of round, but at the same time, like when you pull your upper lip down, like that, a lot of times it thins out your septum. So I make it so the jewelry can't fall down unless you pull your upper lip down, so it kind of locks it into place. And that's how I've always kind of done it for years. So that's probably your best bet, is go get one of those put in and see how that works for you. Thanks for asking, and thanks for the super chat. We really, really do appreciate you. And I'm going to go back to Billy here for a second here, because I know we got some streaming issues that I need to work with. So I'm going to let you talk about more of your products. Yeah.
Well, one of the things Safe Products does, aside from all the jewelry that we've been selling for all of these years, we have been selling carvings to gallery stores throughout the years. And because we sell to piercing studios, we also sell to the tattoo artists. And when I say gallery stores, I'm talking Nantucket Island, Sausalito Fish Market, or Sausalito, California, the Seattle Fish Market, places where they have scrimshaw and whalebone and and all that type of stuff. So here, if you want to show them, Kelsey, this is an example of one of our pieces that's carved out of walrus jawbone. My gallery store has to pay $175 for that piece, and that's going to go on the floor for $350 or $400 or $450. Now, when we go around to one of the parts of our business, one of the things I do is I go to the tattoo shops with a bag of the little skulls, like Kelsey has in her hand right now.
I have a couple of these.
Yeah, I mean, they're hard to resist because the deal is these.
And the detail in them. I don't know if you guys can
I
really
was just
see
gonna
on
say.
the camera, but like it has like the skull fractured. What are those called?
Yeah, the fracture lines.
The fracture lines. Right.
So these carvings are coming out of
Super
Bali,
cool.
Indonesia, and the Balinese are known as the best carvers in the world.
Yep. So
And,
realistic. Beautiful.
So by making the best carvings in the world and making them out of unusual materials, that's how we were able to sell to gallery stores. And then because the 85+% of tattoo artists love skulls,
They really do.
and we sell jewelry to the piercing, it just made sense for us to keep banging out little and bigger skulls and show them to the tattoo artists. And that's actually a big part of our sales, is bringing in the skull bag to the tattoo shops.
They're pretty cool. I've always loved skulls.
Yeah.
I always loved them. Now, you also have something else over there which looks pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And that's not body jewelry, but this is for your collector's gallery, correct?
That's right. No, I've been selling safe products on the road for 12 years, but Tim allowed me recently to sell some of my own things on the road, you know,
Okay.
so that was really cool of him. In the skull bag, I'll throw a couple of my little rocks, you know, hard to find gems. This is something bigger I carry in another bag, but this is a specimen called scolecite that you are referring to. That comes from India. That is one of many specimens called zeolites. They come from these lava tube caves out near Maharashtra. Pretty cool stuff. Probably $160, $180 piece.
It's just a bunch of chaotic crystals that just...
Yeah,
I've
I
never seen anything like
I brought
that
two of
before.
them on the road a couple of weeks ago, and I already sold one to a friend in LA. So
They're awesome.
yeah, they're a little. You know, I have to pack them on top. They're sturdy, but as you can see, there's going to be a delicate aspect to them.
So now you're in California and you have a gallery with a bunch of this stuff for
Yeah,
sale.
so in my tattoo and piercing studios, I've been making galleries out of them, putting a rock shop gallery, but I'll also have, some of the carvings from Safe Products. And I'll carry fossils and weird specimens from around the world.
Cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's super, super cool.
So fun.
I've been threatening and you've been inviting me for a long time for me to come up visit. And
We should take a shop trip.
shop trip?
Shop trip.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing those with us. And we need to move on to some questions because I know there's some comments, other things we need to talk about up here. Chrome Junkie. I know who Chrome Junkie is because there's my LFD buddy. How have you been? Give me a call. Yeah, I totally will. This is one of my buddies back in Minnesota who we used to smoke cigars together. LFD is La Flor Dominica, one of my favorite cigars. And me and him used to stand around little campfires in the backyard at 20 degrees below zero, freezing our butts off, standing on a little kind of melted area because there's such a huge flame and there's water because of the heat and trying to stay warm.
Yeah.
It was insane, but you know what? I'll never forget those memories.
No,
Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. And Devon G. Hello, Devon. How are you doing? Is it Devon or Devon? Devon, how you doing? CT, is that Starbucks I see? Are you cheating on... Not me. This is a Dutch Brothers here. This is the Dutch Brothers here. There was a good excuse for that, though.
Okay, so on my way to work, I was like, I'm already running late. I can't stop and get coffee. And then I get to the shop, and our power is out. So I call Scott, and I'm like, hey, do we want coffee? And then I can come do live chat until we figure out what's going on with power. But he had already gotten coffee. So Starbucks was just right there rather than going out of my way to go to Dutch Bros. Plus, I really wanted one of their sandwiches. And Starbucks has really good sandwiches. So, yeah.
Yeah, so no, I'm not cheating.
I'm a cheater. It was me.
But if she would have brought a couple cake pops, would you have maybe?
Right, you know.
I just wondering. All right, how about them Red Sox?
Right. Exactly.
All right. And Jordan's Jungle says, hello, Kelsey and Billy.
Hello.
You guys got some love there? We love
Hi,
having
Jordan.
our guests here and love having you guys over there. You want to read a couple of these?
Katarina Reeves just started my piercing apprenticeship a few months in, about
Congrats.
50 nostril piercings in, and a few others. Any advice about the industry or starting out?
Get used to doing nostril piercings.
Yeah. There are 3 ends in the industry that are most popular, especially like any shop that I've really ever been. Nostrils, navels, and nipples.
Yeah.
Like kind of the bread and butters. So.
Yep, always super popular. So nostrils all day long. And congratulations, that's super exciting.
Absolutely. And as far as advice, never stop learning. Keep educating yourselves. Network as much as you possibly can. Meet as many people as you can. You will get knowledge from everyone. You can talk to someone who's a freehand piercer and I only do clamps, but there's things we share back and forth and open up different insights. The second you stop learning everything and the second you know everything, you need to start thinking about leaving the industry.
It's just too important.
It's too ignorant,
yeah, I see too many guest piercers going to studios and they're just so stubborn in their ways, or just too many people that are stubborn in their ways. And as a piercer for 20 years, things are changing quickly, very quickly.
Constantly.
The jewelry companies we're working with, the jewelry designs we're working with, the techniques that we are using, the new advances in science, cleanliness, the products we are using to clean your body off before a piercing, and the products we're using to clean our studios. I could go on, but things are changing so much. So because you have online capabilities, you have a wealth of information online, a wealth of bad information.
Yes.
But you do have a wealth of information, so keep learning, and be sweet, be sweetheart all the
The
time.
day you feel like you can't learn anything new, consider doing something else maybe.
And I don't know how you
But-
feel about the APP, the Association of Professional Piercers.
Attending APP is always fun.
It's insane. You're going to meet so many people. You're going to network. You're going to take all these classes. And it's like, I repeat the classes I take. Some people look at me like, why are you taking basic anatomy class? I'm like, to refresh, stay
Exactly.
on top of
Things
it.
change.
Yeah.
Things change so
every
much.
couple of years. You know, like Billy was saying, different ways of doing things, and you know, the cleanliness, new products, and everything. It all changes constantly.
And sometimes it affects those changes affect other aspects too.
Exactly.
So
Now
many
you gotta change
changes
everything
affecting
around
everything
it.
else. So that's why you take.
Education.
So yeah,
Education.
Scott was mentioning the annual APP, annual Association of Professional Piercers Conference.
You
That's
don't have to
in
be a member.
Las Vegas. You don't have to be a member. It is in Las Vegas every year. It's a week-long worth of classes and great fraternization with the best piercers in the world. And it's just critical to continue answering your question. It's just critical for your continued learning.
And you know what else is in Las Vegas? You can come visit us. You come see my shop. You come get pierced by me. Yeah.
Come hang out with us. Go get some food.
Absolutely. So, yeah, great question. And that goes for everyone. Keep that in mind. Never stop learning. That's for any career. All right. And Alice Durrell. To clock back in 7 minutes, but wanted to drop in. Well, thanks for being here when you could. Sorry,
thanks for
we
saying
probably
hello.
missed you. But if you watched the replay, hi.
Yeah.
All right.
And we got Will Jones next. Hey guys, I just saw my piercer who I've been pierced by exclusively for the last 2 years, and who I was going to get my apprenticeship from is quitting piercing, and I don't know where I go from here.
That might be the opportunity to jump in there.
Right.
That to be the next person there. Or
Depends on when he's quitting, and maybe it could be the replacement if that's the.
I mean, we've seen that before, haven't we?
It's
Yeah.
possible. It's very, very. Our voice just. Oh, we're back again. Okay.
Yep, online courses, even maybe finding somebody in a reputable spot. But
We've talked about that. It's tough. It's tough finding a
Yeah.
good piercer. So if they're quitting like
Someone you
next
connect
week,
with.
it's not enough time. But if they said, hey, they're trying to get out, they're doing something, teach me. You know.
If
Right.
they're able to tell me what town or city they're in, I could maybe tell them what shops or piercers to look at. You know,
I
I
wish I
don't
could
know.
remember. I know Will said stuff before, but yeah. So, anyways, bummer to hear that, dude. And
But ask them if there's an opening for you.
I'm so happy to be here. We're happy you're here. Yay. Andrina. Hello from VA.
Virginia. Yep.
Yeah.
And then C Diamond. Got my labret pierced, but is it normal for the disc to indent and make a crater-like shape? Also, is discharge from the inside normal? So a lot of times with oral piercings, such as lip piercings, something called nesting is a pretty normal thing. Now, it would be not normal for your tissue to kind of heal over. Like if it's embedding so bad to where the tissue is healing over and it's super uncomfortable and you have to constantly push it out, to make it so it doesn't heal over. You might want to try getting something a little bit longer in.
Or a bigger disc if it's too small.
Or a bigger disc, yeah. If you have a small disc, there's like a couple different sizes, but normally there's a small and then a large. Usually for oral piercings, like lip piercings, we would use a large disc back.
Or a more appropriate disc, gentler, smoother, better design.
That sharp edge
Higher
on there.
Perhaps an M&M disc on the back.
disc.
I have an M&M on the inside of my vertical labret. Inverse vertical labret.
I don't know if you guys have seen that before.
Comfy.
We've done stuff, and that's a pretty rare piercing. If you want to kind of show that off a little bit here.
We're looking in this camera. Right?
Yeah, that camera right there. Now you're going to see this is just on the top of his lip, and it goes out onto the inside instead of the outside, like a lip piercing. So he's got that just resting on the inside up there. Yeah.
It's almost like an Ashley, we would consider an Ashley piercing. But due to anatomy, I feel like
it's like more vertical. It's awesome.
Inner vertical labret.
Just awesome.
It's great.
Works really well.
Very
super comfy.
flush. It's very flush with the lip that don't even know it's there. And the only foods where I know it's there is an apple or a pear, where I just have to kick my face to the side a little bit.
Yep. Yep.
Big fat BVLA piece on top there.
Maybe corn on the cob too might be. No, not unless you clear all that corn.
Nah, it's easy. It's easy, boss.
All right.
Yeah, I got it. I got this. Yeah, I've had it for years. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, and a little bit of discharge is normal, especially if it's being irritated or if it's embedding. So it generally stops after a couple days. Like I said, if you're popping it out, that's a problem. If it's just embedding a little bit, that's normal. You're going to be swollen.
And those oral piercings are the ones that are going to crust up the most. And that discharge is probably just your crusties that are getting wet because they're on the inside of your mouth, So.
Devin G, anyone know an experienced piercer in Nashville, Tennessee area?
I know a couple of people in Nashville. If you look in the information on the video, if you would like to, you can go ahead and direct message me, like DM me on Instagram, and then I can give you a list of people to maybe reach out to. So,
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone in
Tennessee. A couple people in Nashville.
In Tennessee, there's a couple really good towns, a couple of really good studios, really good people. Yeah, not far from you. Yeah.
Awesome. Glad we can. So yeah, reach out and we'll definitely help you out there.
Pirelli 913. Hello, I live in Las Vegas. I want to get a bunch of piercings done by Kelsey. Yay!
We're not going to allow that. No.
Sorry, can't do it.
Oh, forget it.
Scott fired me. Just kidding.
Yeah, set up some appointments. We would love to have Kelsey pierce
Tuesday through Friday. I'm in 11:30 to about 8 o'clock at night. So whenever you're ready.
See you soon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And C Diamond, bear in mind it's only 4 days old and it's swollen, so is this indent normal? Yeah, that's exactly. It's like generally I find like 3 to 5 days is kind of average for swelling and it should start going down. Sometimes it lasts a week or two. For me, it was really bad because I was using mouthwash with alcohol in there, and that alcohol was burning and it kept it swollen for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. So alcohol-free mouthwash if you're using a mouthwash.
And with no whitening agents in it either, because that's like a peroxide base, and you don't want that on your piercing.
It is, isn't it? I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And Kestrel Grace. Yay, I caught the live. We're glad to have you here. Thanks for being here. And Ivlena Leal. That's what we're going with.
Yep.
Is there any ear cartilage piercing you can wear earphones and earbuds while it's healing?
Yeah.
Most of them you can, but it depends on the type of earphones for the type of piercing. Inner ear cartilage like Doth, Rook, snug conch. You're going to want to wear over the earphones. But if you have a helix, forward helix, earlobe, then you're probably looking for more of like the inner ear. Like
and I could wear buds with everything I got here, and it's not bothering me.
You just got to get around the chains there.
Yeah, but you can't have it. You can't have a tragus, or it's probably going to bother it.
Correct.
While your piercings are healing, we would recommend maybe like the over the head ones. But I definitely attend the gym every couple of days, and I wear the Beats Pro athletic earbuds. I definitely have a doth on this side and a conch on this side. I've and tragus piercings as well. I've really never had any issues. You just have to find the ones that fit really well, and make sure your piercings are healed. Least amount of pressure on the piercings, the better. So. But
in your question, you said it right. It's while it's healing. Once they're healed up, you should be able to wear virtually anything you want. During the healing process, something that's not irritating the piercing is what you need to wear. Good question. Good question. Vinay, swelling and bruising and trauma can cause numbness. Yes, it can. That kind of, we were talking about the comment earlier where someone got their nose pierced and they're feeling like numbness on the tip of their nose. And yeah, if it's over irritated and over swollen and maybe the numbness, there we go. We keep cutting out. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, anytime that the numbness is so super rare and quite. It's always been super mild and only maybe a day or two. And it's like, this is weird, and then everything's fine.
Swelling goes away.
I almost never hear numbness, and it never turns into anything. No one's getting paralyzed. Everyone's fine.
I think a lot of that could have to do with the quality of the needle. And I'm not saying your piercer is a bad piercer or use bad needle, but I know the better the needle, the less the trauma that causes. So that's probably why we don't see it as much, is because I'm using the higher-end needles.
Yeah, very, very good piercers are going to know the details of so many things. If you guys didn't know, there's a lot of needles out there and needle qualities out there, and some of them are so sharp that a piercer has to be careful and slow down with what they're doing. So
just like a hot knife,
there's when you ask questions like this, there's so many thoughts run through our head, and even Scott was saying it could have been even a needle that wasn't as sharp as maybe it should have been, or maybe
maybe the needle's barbed. There's so many things. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. And Carrie Weiss, hi from Ohio with love. Welcome in. Thanks for being here, Carrie. And headphones. Yes, absolutely. That's where we were. And
then we've got Angela. Hi. How long does a rook take to heal? Thinking it would look cool to pair with my anti-tragus. Thanks.
Probably a little less than an anti-tragus. Yeah, for sure. Cartilage, I tell everyone a minimum 6 months. Expect it to be a little bit irritated. Some people may seem healed in as little as like 4 months, but there's not a lot of blood flow to that area, so therefore it can't get the white blood cells to actually truly heal and develop a thick enough fistula, which is the tube of scar tissue, to prevent any sort of infections and irritations. So 6 months, sometimes up to a full year, but that one's a little on the easier side, so closer to the 6 months, would I say.
And is she talking about connecting the two piercings eventually with perhaps a chain or some type of fun, keep that in mind, that there's those new possibilities, that there's always new jewelry, and sure enough, connecting some of those piercings can be fun. Keep
with
that in
chains?
mind.
Really? Who likes that?
The coolest people.
We're all chained up here today.
And speaking of chains, we did just get our shipment in of different chains where I'm going to be able to put together some permanent jewelry as well as make some ear project chains. So, yeah.
The next week or two
Super
we'll have
exciting.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Awesome. Yep. All right. And Alice had to leave, so if you come back and watch, bye and hello again. Is that how that works? I don't know. Okay. Kelsey Parsons, how's everyone doing today? Let's start off with Billy. Billy, how you doing today, man?
Oh, Kelsey, thank you so much for asking. I'm doing really well. I'm so happy to be here. The clouds were in the sky this morning. I had an Earl Grey peacefully outside of the cafe this morning, doing some writing. Yeah, it's a good day so far. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. And Kelsey? Kelsey's asking how Kelsey is.
Oh, hi. Thanks, Kelsey. I'm doing pretty well myself. got to the shop today. Our power is out, so hoping people don't get mad about showing up to the shop because there's no way that I was able to get in contact with them. So in order to reschedule or cancel their appointments, but yeah, hopefully that'll be sorted out soon. But with that being said, shop being closed, I was able to come in today and be here. So yeah.
My day has been fantastic up until the point where my shop has no power and I'm waiting for phone calls on landlords and all that. And it's like, it's a little bit stressful, but at the same time, you can't let it get you down. It's just another day, and I get to have more friends here in the live chat. So it actually worked out.
It's a good day.
Attitude of gratitude.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. I hope you're doing well too. And let's move on to Savannah. Can nostril piercings reject or migrate? Now, if you hit it on the very edge of your nose, like almost not even piercing cartilage, it's going to reject. But as far it might reject, but otherwise they don't grow all the way out. They might change angles and shift, but I wouldn't say a piercing
tight hoop
can fully reject all the way.
Perhaps a tight hoop, really a poorly done tight hoop on an initial piercing can drag it down a little bit in an extreme case.
Would you ever see it split and come out where it completely rejected?
No, of course not. But what she asked, I'm talking about the migration aspect of what she said.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, migration for sure. For sure.
But no, you're not going to reject anything out of the nose. It's a miscommon used term, rejection.
And there's a big difference. I mean, migrate means it shifts and migrates to a different position to where it's comfortable, whether the ring's too tight, you're sleeping on it every night. That's why you should downsize cartilage piercing. And rejection means the body said no, and it pushed and pushed and pushed until it was pushing it completely outside the body. That generally doesn't happen with cartilage unless they miss cartilage and it's only through skin.
Typically, that's a navel. Typically, you see that with a navel.
Or nipples that are very flat and it doesn't produce. Eyebrows that are real tight. And
eyebrows.
So there's a few of them, but generally cartilage
depends on the jewelry as well. If you're having an allergic reaction to the jewelry, your body is going to fight tooth and nail to get that thing out of your body. So I mean, it just might get extremely infected, but as far as rejecting completely out, chances of that happening, not very likely. I mean, like the actual piercing itself can expand so much that it seems like the jewelry can just slide in and out. It's your body getting rid of it. So make sure that you're getting good quality jewelry put in.
It does make a
not
difference.
Starting off with a hoop. That's another big thing that people have done, and you know, it tends to migrate down. You get that line of a scar that goes down the side of your nostril. So.
And you're probably going to be dealing with a bump forever if you can ever get rid of it. So it's just not worth it. It really, really isn't.
So never start off with a hoop, and make sure that your piercing is 100% fully healed before actually swapping out to a hoop, because you were pierced at a straight angle and you're healed at a straight angle. Once you force it into a curved angle and it's not fully healed, you're going to start having problems. So.
Well, on a positive note, PK got their philtrum and upper lobe piercing today.
Nice. Philtrum. I love a great philtrum.
Me too.
Aren't they fantastic?
I just did one earlier this week, and it was with a piece that I've been wanting to use forever. Since we got it. And I'm just like, when my friends came in and they were like, I kind of want to get this piece. And I was like, I know the piece. We're doing it right now. And we did it.
You know, what I love about the philtrum too, just like the flat or the conch, it's a big field that you're working with. So maybe not now, but eventually you could get a really nice big piece in there, and it won't look obnoxiously big or too big. It looks like it belongs. So I'm going to encourage you to go with a big piece in there. You got so many choices. Oh man, many choices.
And if you wear a mustache, this is one that works well with facial hair. It's so weird the way it kind of splits there, and it center pieces everything, and it's I love it. I really do. Yeah.
Big fan.
Fantastic. So congratulations. And upper lobe pierce today. Awesome. Earlobes are just as valid as every other piercing. Sometimes they don't get as validated, but I mean, a piercing's a piercing. You get to wear new jewelry in it, and that's
put anything in there. Just put so many things in there these days.
All right, and
Vogt von Lipwig. Hi from Germany.
Welcome.
I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. I apologize.
You
That's
might have
awesome.
just swore.
I lived in Germany. I lived in Germany for 2.5 years down in Ansbach.
Cool.
I lived in Ansbach.
Can you pronounce that first name there?
I can barely read it.
Feucht.
Voigt?
Cool. Welcome in.
Yeah.
Welcome in.
Thank you, Voigt.
And Carrie
Grüß Gott.
How do I stop septum piercings from getting that funk? Well, you really can't. It's going to happen. I wash it really well, change my jewelry often, but I still seem to get the funk.
Yeah, I would try to find what is the material you funk up less with.
Right.
What is that material? Is it titanium? Is it stainless steel? Could it even be glass? Could it be niobium? I've had septums for many years. I've worn mine for 16 years, a couple septums, and I never had the septum funk. But as a piercer, septum funk is so real. A lot of clients, a lot of you have it, no matter how thick of a gauge. It could be 16 gauge and you get septum funk. It could be 0 gauge, you could get them. Or it could be a terrible funk, and I'm sorry that you always got that and I didn't. Try seeing what material works best with you.
Yeah, I only ever really experienced it when I was using like the stainless steel or surgical steel that people say, or acrylic. If I ever had, because when I started stretching my nose, my septum, I had I think it was like a 10 or an 8 gauge, just acrylic like plug with the O-rings on each side. And that was real funky, to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I ended up just stacking.
So now the other thing is, I do have a video on this too about trying to get rid of that funk. Sometimes a natural cooking oil works really well, like an olive oil, a peanut oil, vegetable oil. You rub that into the metal, because what it is kind of a mask of dead skin cells and oils and stuff. And if you can't get rid of it, cover it with something that's pleasant, and that would be that natural cooking oil. So I loved olive oil. It got rid of the smell. It was more pleasant, and that olive oil is really good for your skin too. So that's another option for you. Otherwise, find the different material. But yeah. We all get that funk. Now, let me see here. Where are we at? I better highlight this before I lose my spot. I talk too much out loud. I should talk more of this in my head. So, and
we have
here we go. We just got a super chat. So it's Dianus. Hello, everyone, from your favorite pin cushion. I was thinking about stretching my conch on both ears. Would you recommend doing this or getting an orbital ring? Well,
not if you're a side sleeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The orbital ring, if you're looking at just like, wait, what's that your favorite ring? Stretching my conch on both ears. Oh, the orbital ring to go all the way around your ear. I see what you're saying. If you want to wear a ring through your conch, you could totally do that. It's going to be a lot easier. Stretching your conch can be done, but it's a very slow process because it's quite a bit thicker of the cartilage. So it just takes a little bit longer, but it can be done. I've known people who've gone from like a 12 gauge all the way up to like a ½ inch, which I don't understand, but they did it, you know. So if there's a will, there's a way. It's just a slower process. As far as wearing the ring through there, it's going to be a little uncomfortable to sleep on. Hopefully you've had your piercing for probably a year plus, because that's when it's generally the most comfortable and able to kind of actually sleep on a conch ring. So yeah, but I'm not a real big fan of the term orbital ring in a conch, because an orbital is actually like an industrial piercing, but with a ring, a circular bar.
Connecting two piercings together.
Two piercings together with one ring is an actual orbital.
Yeah,
so,
it's like two
it's just a conch piercing with a ring, that's all.
Why the internet started that, but
that's
it's
that's a lot of stuff we have to do to try to correct. Just a conch ring with conch piercing with a ring in it.
So yeah, but thank you, I appreciate that. And did I not? There,
right there.
Okay.
Here we go. So we've got Kelsey Parsons again. I gauged my ears about 6 months ago, and I took them out because my ears weren't working with the big gauges. I'm just wondering if they will go back to small. It really depends on what size you were at. You know, people will sit there and tell you all day long, oh, if you go past this size, then you can't go back to normal. It really depends on the person and the tissue and everything. Some people, me for example, my second holes, the second lobe piercings that I have on my ears, I stretched those only up to about a 6, and then I took them out, and I can still fit, you know, a 10/8 gauge in there, and it's been years since I've worn jewelry in, but I do have a couple of single flared sets from Safe Products that I can just pop in occasionally just to wear with my hangers if I'm feeling a little more fancy. But it really depends on the person. If your ears were irritated before taking your jewelry out, you know, chances are that they could have fused back together slightly.
What materials were
yeah.
you using? How fast were you stretching?
Exactly.
And in my
So
career,
if
that was always
torn or nicely stretched.
Those are the
Skipping
biggest
sizes,
problems.
These
I
are
think
the biggest issues.
Yeah, there's a lot that could have been here. Been doing. I think right now it's the massaging and the hot showers. I'm a huge fan of emu oil at this point.
Me too.
Huge fan.
Huge fan.
Yeah, when did that come out? They started selling it at APP, and I think I've been using it ever since.
I just love that. I used to
Love
bottle
it
it
for my
myself in my shops. I used to get it, bottle it myself, get the bottles, and use, and it's just its scar reduction properties, the healing properties, the getting the cells back to wanting to rejuvenate.
It's just an amazing product.
It's amazing. So
it's the only oil we really ever suggest.
Your hot shower, massaging in the hot shower is great, and that's the best oil, in that case.
And not many people know about it.
I'm such a huge fan of emu oil for so many things. But so if someone's vegan, what would you recommend instead of emu oil?
That is a fantastic question. There was a product on Amazon called Grimu oil, which is a vegan alternative. I did order it and did not like it at all. It was not the same thing. It's just a whole bunch of essential oils, just like a lot of the rest of the, the bump remover,
stuff,
scar remover. This, it's lavender and tea tree, and it's everyone's own concoctions, which I'm not just a big fan of the essential oils for body piercing.
I'm not a fan of tea tree oil on piercings.
No.
9 times out of 10, things get worse because of the tea tree oil. If you do not dilute tea tree oil properly, tea tree oil can literally strip the paint off of a car.
And you could be reactive to it. I don't know why tea tree oil is gaining traction again so much.
I
Because it
really
has
don't know.
antibacterial properties, and people assume that it just can be.
The issue with using anything antibacterial is you need the good
bacteria
in order to heal something properly. If you're killing all the bacteria, you're not allowing your body to do its own natural thing. So it is a good thing that you're getting these crusties. It's a good thing that you're getting the swelling. It's your body's initial reaction to then healing this wound. And if you're doing too much to it, like putting tea tree oil and a bunch of other stuff on it, you're just irritating it and prolonging that healing process. So just mind what you're putting on your piercings.
An antimicrobial is going to be better in that it leaves the good germs behind, right? And so you want an antimicrobial. You do not want an antibacterial.
Yeah.
In general.
And in general, if you have a wound, you're not supposed to be trying to put that type of stuff in there anyways. You're supposed to let the body do its job on its own. So, hey, this is something I haven't said yet, but if you haven't already, hit the like and hit subscribe. It really helps us out. We'd really appreciate it. And it spreads the word. The more people know about us, the more people can watch, and the more we can offer here. So, hit that like. All right, moving on to Sky Scars. Hi from Italy. How do you do your eyebrows with a bridge piercing? Is it better to leave them be until it heals, or can they be plucked or shaved? I'm assuming it's better not to wax. I have no idea. These are completely natural. Sometimes I trim up. Oh, Kelsey? No, me. I have no idea.
Oh, I have no idea.
You can get close without irritating it, but you can't irritate. I know, like facial piercings, when they're around whiskers, you have to kind of shave close, but we don't suggest actually plucking if it's coming out of the actual area.
Yeah, just leaving it be until they fully heal and then going back to your normal grooming.
Sometimes a little trimming.
Waiting for your bridge to heal before getting the eyebrows. I mean, typically you can heal up to 3 to 5 piercings at once, but yeah, I mean, I feel like that would be fine to do. Piercings, eyebrow piercings with a bridge.
Now, if those eyebrow piercings are way inside and perhaps colliding, there could be a problem. But a lot more people are going inside and being creative with where they're putting their eyebrow piercing, and they are daring and trying this area. So I would just try to make sure they're not all up on each other. But like Kelsey said, they should be fine.
Doing makeup, getting it close in with, because how do you do your eyebrows with a bridge? The wording is so tricky sometimes.
The wording is tricky.
So don't get makeup and stuff in there while it's an open wound, and try not to irritate your piercing. You just got to listen to your body. If it hurts it, don't do it.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, so we've got Katie Rendell next. Hi guys, I'm getting a conch piercing soon, and it will be on the same ear as my 5-month-old double snug. I'm getting it pierced at an 8 gauge, and I'm concerned about if the swelling will affect the snugs.
How are the double snugs doing now?
Yeah, that's a good question. How are the double snugs doing currently, like health-wise? Are they on the verge of being almost fully healed? Typically, a snug takes anywhere between 4 to 6 months to a full year, sometimes even longer.
But you got 2 of them.
2 years, yeah, and you have 2 of them, so that's like double heal time.
Lot.
So,
and it might still be swollen, which could be swollen in the conch area right now.
If they're only 5 months old, then they are more than likely still swollen to the point where they're like, from bead to bead on the jewelry.
It's possible.
But if they survived each other, that the double snugs have survived each other this whole time, then adding a conch at a 12 gauge, I don't think it's going to add any more, exacerbate it anymore. But I'm a really big fan of that. Yeah, okay, gauge. But I am a big fan of that. The pillow. The piercer's pillow, the neck pillow. Sure. If we need to remind your customers that your people that it's such a to not sleep on it is such critical. It's so critical.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So yeah, that would be it. Just if it's ready, you would know. If you can't kind of touch your conch without it hurting your snug, I would wait.
Yeah, listen to your body. If your snugs are pissed off, wait until they're happy, and then add another couple of weeks onto that, and then go for it.
All right, and we have
Beth Consugar.
I have a tough time getting the front part of an internally threaded earring in my helix. I can't see the threads in the front of it, but the post I can get in no problem. Any tips?
Switch to threadless.
Switch to threadless, but you're still going to struggle trying to get that tip in there as far as that goes.
Not as bad as lining it up properly to then rotate to twist the top on. I am a huge fan of threadless jewelry for everything. It just goes together like a normal earring. You line the pin up with the hole that's in the post. Easy peasy.
And especially
squeeze it together.
And you're talking especially for the clients who love to change out their own jewelry.
Especially if you're changing your jewelry out often. If you're having issues with the top falling off on your internally threaded pieces, then I would maybe consider switching to threadless. Only because threaded, in my opinion, you do kind of have to check them every once in a while, make sure that the top or the end isn't threading off. You don't want to lose it, so yeah.
I like threaded jewelry more than Kelsey does.
Love threadless.
I love threadless too, but honestly, like the way I've done it in the past is don't use the mirror. It sounds ridiculous, but if you're standing there, you almost need to hold it in here and look where it's at and kind of go and almost close your eyes, because if you're trying to focus, everything's backwards and upside down and reversed. That's why it's so hard to pierce yourself in the mirror and get things straight too. It's not smooth. So you have to learn to do it blindfolded in a way.
Yep.
It can be done, and it takes practice, but
it takes practice.
So that's why it's like I almost close my eyes when I do it, because if my eyes are open, I'm still trying to peek a little bit. Just close your eyes, go by feel, and you should be able to, Good luck. It's not easy.
Fingernails are a big thing, too.
All right, and Zando's Critters, nickel kills me everywhere.
Same.
You're not alone. Nickel is like the worst metal ever.
Zandal is probably a person who can't even wear the jeans without putting the tape on the back of the button.
Or the clear nail polish, whatever it is. Some people get reactions so bad they can hardly touch anything. It's insane. So, and moving on to Alexis. Hey folks, I hope you're doing well. I want spider bites on both sides.
I'm sorry.
But don't like being asymmetrical. Should I get all 4 done at once? I have no other healing piercings. Thanks. Love you guys. Love you too.
You should be fine to do all 4 at once. If you have no current healing piercings, then
It should be fine.
Yeah.
The only time, I generally don't like to do more than 3 piercings at once, but normally they're kind of spread out. Like if you came in and said, I want to get a helix, and a nipple, that's too spread out for me. But like a 2 and a 2, I don't think that's a big deal. Exactly. So you should be totally fine.
2 earlobes on each side, not a big deal.
I can't be asymmetrical either. It would drive me nuts. Yeah, for sure.
When you can't find a friend. So interesting.
We're here for you.
So interesting. I really like titanium jewelry, but I have trouble finding designs in 14 gauge for my conch, especially clickers. Is there a reason for this? Is it just the market?
Yes.
Yes, it's just the market. I mean, it depends on what shop you're finding jewelry at.
I agree. I mean, as a jewelry orderer, there's way more options in seam rings where you just twist it, because it's way more difficult to add the clicker and still make the profit. I have a couple of seam rings, but for the most part, I only carry clickers in my shop just because of the ease of it. But there's way more options, and the thing is I think a majority of people now have 16 gauge cartilage piercings, so that's why all the designs come in 16s. Yeah, it really is. Now, if you're looking for a stud option, then switch over to the threadless, because threadless are universal all the way up to I know at least 12 gauge, sometimes even bigger, and you can use the same tops as long as the top's not smaller than the post itself. So that's that. But yeah, you're gonna have a way tougher time for the 14 gauge, but I'll talk to my jewelry rep and say, hey, we need more 14 gauge. Okay? Yep.
And then next we have actually a question for Billy from CT. Billy, I've been looking for a style of heavier gauge earrings that I once saw where it was a rat hanging with its tail through the ear piercing. Do you carry anything like that, or know of anywhere to go?
I think they might have been talking about that possum one. There was some guy who did a possum hanger that was
Cute.
just dope.
I love possums.
But yeah,
we have done rats before, but we didn't do them out of metal. We did them out of walrus jawbone, and they hung from the tails, and they're really cute. I may have a pair somewhere, but it would be Tim's on the road with some of the jewelry. He probably has it now, so it would be months before I could track it down. I have a feeling probably some of the other companies, I'm sure someone's busted out a cool rat or two.
Really designed to bring up.
There's a couple companies
sure
out there that only do casting for weights, and I think that's probably who it would be. There's a lot of fun stuff, but you just don't have any rats or anything from the tails anymore.
No, I might have the walrus jawbone somewhere, and it's a really good price too. I'd have to. It would be a while before I could track him down.
Okay.
But if you wanted to message me, I could, at Collector's Gallery or something.
Yeah. Check in the comments. Or not the comments,
I could write myself a note and address it some months in the future. Hey, I found those ACT. I found those rats. You interested in walrus jawbones?
And then I want to add, just because I noticed like your wording, looking for a style of heavier gauge earrings that I once saw where it hangs. I don't recommend using anything like hanger-wise for long-term use, because you're actually going to lose size if you only wear hangers. They're not actually, I know that they're called weights, weights, but they're not intended to weigh down to stretch your ears. They're not going to do that. And if you did find anything that heavy, I wouldn't recommend wearing it, because you're just going to start thinning out in that one spot where it hangs. So like back in my day when, everybody started kind of stretching their ears, they would wear really heavy padlocks. That's why a lot of people my age have their ears sewn up completely, or they have the lobster claw ears, because the whole padlock thing, it wore down in that one spot. So don't use hangers to stretch your ears if that's where you're kind of going with that. So there's a lot of hangers from old ancient cultures where they would show off the elongation of the lobe. When you're wearing the plug, it doesn't show how far they hang down, and I think that's what they were trying to do, is to show off how far your ears hang down. And generally, the bigger, the longer it is, the more wise the person is, because the ears never stop growing, and it just takes years and years.
Now
this is about how low mine will hang when I have weights in.
There's a couple safe products designs throughout the years that are very heavy. So we've dealt with tribal primitive jewelry. So there's a couple like hematite weights that are actually really heavy.
Yes.
In cases like that, so someone doesn't get that headache in the first couple hours, wearing it through some saddles, or perhaps silicone eyelets if they can wear.
That's a smart way
if they can wear silicone eyelets, because not everyone can wear them, but if they can, then that can help distribute the weight.
Sometimes wearing a slightly thicker surface through there is going to help quite a bit too. So like if you have something that's an 18 gauge and a lot of weight, you just turn that into a cheese cutter type thing. So the thicker it is, it's like if you had a knife to cut the cheese and you're cutting the sharp point and the dull point is what it's not going to cut through. So the bigger it is, the better. Yeah. That's a great analogy. I just came up with that.
Yeah, we used to use that, and in some cases that wire cutter analogy. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, and Adriana S. He said it's a little big. It's a horseshoe without ball.
I think horse, it's straight up top and curves outward at bottom. Not really sure what we're talking about.
Might have been a question from earlier.
Yeah, I remember talking.
Oh, she's right there. Thank you for the information. No pain. Okay, I recently had my septum piercing. No pain or bleeding. I wanted a titanium retainer to heal hidden before turning up. It looked crooked. Is that normal?
What's it say again?
It's
said
a
it's a
horseshoe
little
without
big.
the beads.
Yeah, it's a circular barbell.
So you have a circular barbell in there with no beads on it. That's
That
kind of
seems like
weird
it'd be
that they would
irritating.
do that. Yeah.
Should be kind of, yeah.
Huh?
Anyways.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what she's talking about. She's talking about the one that's shaped kind of like this, and then it curves out on the bottom like fishtail.
It kicks out.
Okay, so that is a retainer.
Those
That
designs,
is a retainer.
that's a retainer.
That's okay to use, but again, if it looks crooked, then maybe take it out to have it re-pierced, maybe a little straighter. Because this
It's
way.
going to be
or
round
this
on
way.
the top, so you might have to turn it left or right. But if you can never get it to look parallel and level,
Yeah,
it's
to just look straight with your face. Then, yeah.
Okay.
All right, and then Ursula's
We're all on the same
odds
page,
and
Nage.
sods. Ursula's odds and sods. Hey, girl, that skull is awesome. It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You should totally get one. I have a pretty
Show
big
off the skull
collection.
again in case there's new people
Yeah,
here.
the detail is
What is this again?
This is made out of walrus jawbone.
It
So
is
cool.
hand carved. Love these.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Little pirate guy.
Look-a-zoo. How do you feel about piercers not owning up if they messed up? I got my nipple piercings done twice on one side because of that. The lady messed up twice and offered to pierce the second time for free.
Well, it sounds to me like they definitely owned up to it because they offered to pierce you for free after.
I think piercers should own up to it. I mean,
Yeah.
I am very, very guilty. If you have a crooked piercing and I know it, you're going to hear it from
Right.
my voice before you look in the mirror. I'm going to let you know, like, hey, just as a heads up, that septum looks a little crooked to me. I'm going to let you take a look and see what I'm talking about. I would love to re-pierce you. I'll give you a discount if I can redo it right now.
Yep.
And that's the way I own up to it. For the ones who are just like, it's your nose is crooked, or, you breathed wrong and it made me go crooked. It's your fault. And like, own up to your craft, piercers.
Yeah, a good piercer is going to own it up before that client leaves the studio, and
Yeah,
a good piercer is
make
going to
it
want
right.
to pierce it again.
You will
So,
only leave
yeah.
our studio with a crooked piercing if you absolutely do not want to be pierced again and you are okay with that piercing being slightly off. I will not let you leave if that piercing is like completely off to the point where I'm like, that is not going to heal right. We're going to take this out. If you don't want to be re-pierced today, then I will schedule you and I will pierce you completely for free the next time you come in. So yeah, it's really just kind of depends.
I
but
think
people should definitely own up to their mistakes. We are only human. We make mistakes all the time. I can't tell you how many mistakes I make in my work week. You know? I mean, not that many, okay? It's maybe like... Doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. I worded that very wrong.
Yeah.
In a week, how many?
I have done a crooked septum piercing and had to fix it. I think on the third time was the charm. I've had to do it once or twice in about 30 years. Normally on the second time, we can almost see where it was, how we need to compensate, and we know what we did wrong to fix it. So the second time, it's most likely going to be right.
Yeah, I think the point is, when did that piercer fess up? If the client is slighted,
Good point.
It might be because the client had to speak up days later and be like, look, this is terrible. And then I could see the client still being a little salty.
Yeah.
Again, it's tough as a piercer, as a good piercer, it's tough to see a piercing you just did. Not awesome, but you can't let them leave the shop like that,
Yeah, yeah. And
then you comp them the piercing. You do it again and they don't pay for it,
Sometimes swelling happens right away and it can be a little off, or you might not be able to tell, or the jewelry's tight enough where they come back in a day or so, hey, I think it's crooked. I'll still own up to it. If I missed it and sent you away with a crooked piercing, I sincerely apologize. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen.
But the big gray area is with septum piercings. And so for so many years, so many years, it was just the septum about not with regards to other piercings, but the ones where the piercer would be like, I think this is going to straighten itself out a little bit more over the few weeks. And that has pervaded our thoughts as piercers for a long time, so there was always that gray area with just septum piercings that, yes, it could straighten its shift and find its comfy spot if you didn't find its exact comfy spot. Remember that old Elaine Angel with a string, tying a string to one side and taping it to the cheek and trying to
straighten it out a little
I've
bit.
done it before where I've it's been crooked this way, and I've taken tape and kind of tried to tape it up and hold it up there while I sleep at night and try to reroute it, and oops.
Yeah, so there's definitely
We call it
Things
Wild
we
West
put our
piercing.
minds
conversation.
through.
Yeah.
All right, Kelsey Parsons. How bad did that piercing in between your eyes hurt, Scott?
I think a bridge piercing is easy. It's one of the easier piercings I've ever had done. I've had it done multiple times. Of all the reactions of all the people I've ever pierced, no one has ever said, "Oh, that would hurt so bad." People are like, that was it. So that being said, I'm not trying to scare you here, but it's not the fastest piercing I do because I want to make sure it's spot on perfect, because that's another one that is very easily crooked. If you're off just the littlest bit, you could totally see
tiniest
it.
little
So
hair.
it's virtually painless in my opinion. You feel it, but it doesn't hurt, and it's just a slower piercing. It's pretty
Yeah,
easy.
it's like the old nape surface piercings. The scariest aspect of that was the piercing was going to take a few seconds long. So the
Yeah.
clients go, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to be stabbed for seconds." And the sting you're feeling is the exit of the needle.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't feel like you're being stabbed for seconds, and it's not like that at all.
Yeah. It's amazing what we get stuck in
Simple.
our heads sometimes, and it's
Yeah.
like painting a picture, and yeah.
It's never as bad
So,
as we think.
but yeah, it's the bridge piercing, super easy. And if you're a piercer watching the show, larger gauge stuff works so much better. I've found that 16 gauge stuff is just nothing but bumps, irritation, and rejection in a bridge. My best luck has been with 14 or 12 gauge.
12 gauge bridge.
12 is what I
all day.
prefer. But yeah.
You know what? And I know I'm not piercing that much, hardly at all anymore. But my goodness, I don't know why all these piercers are piercing these bridges or these earls and leaving all this excess space for swelling. I don't freaking need it, dog. Why are
You need
they
a little
doing
bit, but
it?
it's just like
I
having...
Tiny
think depending on the climate, you might need to do, but if you got balls on there and you got the tiniest little 16th on each side, it's going to do and swell a tiny bit. Again, I think your climate might matter, but if it don't matter, like I just seen it all the time, I bet
know
you
here-
most of
Bars
these
that are
times
like this,
it does not need that. No, it doesn't.
You need a little. You don't need a lot. The same thing
Yeah,
with
they're always putting in
industrials.
too much.
People put in a 2-inch barbell or something.
Well,
and
that's
it's just like,
ridiculous.
people
Yeah.
got these antennas sticking out
But
of there.
the
Like,
earls,
whoa.
they never need that much length. I'm always seeing them way too long. These piercers these days are so silly.
I don't know, maybe it was just Minnesota, but I know back in the day, we used to only pierce conches with 14 gauge 5/8 inch barbells because you had to give room for swelling. That was the rule. That's what we always did. And then you always downsized it way much. But I've never seen anyone swell up to that point, but that's what we were supposed to use.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And how times change.
Aren't you glad it's not 1995 anymore?
Big old long thing. All right, Adriana S. If you're interested in becoming a piercer, how do you go about doing this? I wouldn't know where to start. First things first, if it's something that you really want to do and you want to pursue it, I would look for a reputable shop or piercer.
And get pierced by them.
Get pierced by them. It's not even just about the shop being reputable. Like, do they make you comfortable? How was the experience in general from start to finish? Like, there's so many, like, piercers are different everywhere. You'll run into that one piercer that just loves what they do. They love their job. That is the piercer that you are going to want to learn from, in my opinion. Someone who's just like, cool, you want this pierced? Let's go, in and out, and then that's done. That's not the kind of piercer I would ever want to be.
And you're picking a mentor. Find someone you look up to and you can actually respect. Not just someone who can get you the license and good enough, because there's stuff you need to learn.
Patience now, so you can't these. If you go to a shop that you love and you say, "Hey, I'm ready to be your apprentice," they're not going to say to you, "Awesome, go grab a broom," and if the phone rings, you're going to answer it. 99 out of 100 times, they're not going to be ready for you at that time. They're
Correct.
like, "Thank you very much. We're not
Correct.
ready for you."
You can scare us away.
What you need to do is keep visiting them. Not every day. But you do go back every month or so and remind them, hey, I'm still interested. I've been looking into this. Hey, I'm still interested. Because the people that I've hired over the years almost always were me calling them after them months of knocking on the door. Like, hey, I got an opening and you've really been proving yourself. Are you ready to rock and roll? You know, and then they're like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm ready. You know, and so you have to be ready that they're not going to be ready for you.
Yeah. And let me tell you, though, absolute worst way to try to get an apprenticeship. Call us. Don't just go, yeah, do you guys do apprenticeships? No? Okay, click. You didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
Zero chance. We need to see you. We need to know that you would make a good piercer. You're representing us. We're putting our knowledge into you, and you're saying, hey, Scott taught me, or Billy taught me, or Kelsey taught me. We don't want our names out there on someone who's just going to be hacking people up. So we need to find someone that's going to be trustworthy and straight up worthy of the knowledge. That's kind of what it is. We got to find the right person for the job, and someone who's going to be persistent but not annoying, someone who's passionate but not overbearing. It's a fine line, but it's tough to do. But if you find the right place and you get your foot in the door, it's an amazing place to be. Yeah.
Sky's the limit. You could prove your self-worth in just a few short years to a shop owner and find yourself in the most trusted position in the organization.
Yeah. So, cool. Thank you for asking. And Chris K., how long until I can bathe in a pool or sea after a piercing has been done? I'm going to say a minimum of a month. Minimum. That doesn't mean a month. You can go in, depends on how your piercing's doing. But some piercings can have waterproof band-aids over the top, like nipple piercings, navel piercings, you know, temporary band-aids,
typically,
basically.
I would tell people 6 to 8 weeks to 4 to 6 months, depending on the piercing, how well it's healing. You definitely don't want to, in the middle of healing, be swimming constantly, putting a waterproof bandage on and just like
irritating it
and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Yep. And then, what was the other thing I was just going to say? I had something in this. Yeah, the other thing is pools and hot tubs have a bunch of chemicals. The chlorine, those chemicals can cause a serious amount of problems. My bigger concern is lakes, rivers, and oceans. Just because, it's salt water is probably safe, but that's when people can get staph infections, and that's what we're really looking out for. You don't want to be hospitalized because of a staph infection because you went swimming for 15 minutes,
So blasting your piercing with saline spray after any of those swimmings is not guaranteed to fully clean it out, but it might be helpful.
Yeah. It definitely wouldn't hurt.
Definitely is better doing it than not doing it.
Yes. So. All right, and
it's been for Zadzodal.
Yep.
It's been 4 days since I have had my dahlia piercings, and I love them so much. They do hurt a little bit. Is that a problem, or is it normal? They're 4 days old. They are at the prime of their, not only the swelling, but the pain scale as far as the healing process. Usually within the first, 3 to 7 days, you're at the prime stage of your body understanding that there is this foreign object in your body and that it is going to need to work overtime to now heal the piercings. So a little bit of pain, a little bit of crusties, totally normal. Swelling, keep up with ibuprofen, staying hydrated, and just keeping them nice and clean and leaving them alone. Within the first couple of weeks, that pain and everything will start to go away. Just like any normal piercing.
Try to reduce the swelling as much as you can with ibuprofen, Aleve, or Advil, soaking in some cooler water that can help reduce swelling, and that should take away some of the pain from you too.
Of all the piercings there are, these dahlia piercings are amongst the most annoying and irritating the first few weeks, and a lot of stuff's going on in that area. So that's common, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And Devin G. I'm thinking about getting a bridge piercing, but I swim for fitness. What is the shortest time that I have to stay out of the pool before I can get back? We were just talking about this. I say a minimum of a month, but if you have a lot of crusties and it's not doing so hot, don't go swimming yet. I'm kind of struggling through the same thing right now because I got my mantis piercings and I love swimming laps, and I've been avoiding the pool, but I know it's coming up soon because these are doing pretty well, but I'm not going to push it. It's not worth it.
Would you say that's the best indicator? Once the crusties dissipate and go away, that's the best indicator, do you think? Here?
For the most part,
yeah.
But once in a while, some people claim they never get crusties. That doesn't mean you go swimming the next day. So a minimum of a month, and it depends on how the crusties are doing. If you've never really had them, and it doesn't hurt and it's not red, you're probably okay then.
I would agree.
Yeah, so.
And then the next question is for me, part fan 76028, Kelsey. On the last live stream, you said the worst part about piercing is the industry, but then the connection was lost and you got cut off. Could you speak more about that, please?
That was the industry cutting us off.
Absolutely.
The
industry was cutting us off.
Nope,
to put it in better words, I wouldn't necessarily say the industry itself. I would more or less say the politics of the industry. We have our, just like any cliquey industry or any industry where there's different cliques and stuff, like you got like the cool kid club and, how you're only a good piercer if you are APP certified, and there are so many APP piercers out there that have this certificate because they were able to get it because of the standards needed to be certified, but the APP does not base you off of your skills. They base you off of what it is that you have and carry, and as long as you're up to standard, then that's how you become APP certified. You don't do like a piercing.
I think you have to prove you've been a piercer for a year or 2 years or something like that to be a full member. But
you don't being a piercer for a year or 2 years, I've been piercing 10 years now, and I still learn something new every single day, so that doesn't, I'm not saying because I've been piercing for 10 years that I'm God's gift to piercing. I still make mistakes every single day, but,
what?
Yeah.
What? Again with these mistakes.
My words, I'm just so bad at words. So, but no, I would just say it's more the politics. You got your cool kids club, which is, in my opinion,
attitudes.
APP. And I'm not at all trying to, I guess talk down on the APP because I do attend every year. I would love to be APP certified. I am not hating on it whatsoever, but it's really just the whole, unless you're APP, you're not good, and it's not true. You can be a really good piercer and never be APP certified, and that's okay. But yeah, no, you got like your popular people and everything. I have definitely been spoken down to by other piercers who think that they're just better than everybody else. And, you've got, it's just, there's a lot to it. I love the industry that I work in. I love making people feel good about themselves. I love my job, and I feel like that's really what matters. But yeah. I wouldn't say that the worst part about piercing is the industry. I would just say it's really just the politics of it.
There's a lot of people who talk a lot of things, and there's the internet and social media, and I'm sure every industry has the same thing. And when you're outside, if you're a piercee, not a piercer, you're not going to hear all these little things. And everyone's critiquing, like, oh, why'd you post that? It looks crooked. Why'd you do this? Why'd you, oh, I can't believe you did. And it's like, as long as it's done safe and clean and both people are happy, that's all that really matters.
Exactly.
And it's sometimes it gets thick. That's all it is. That's all it is. So sometimes you gotta have thicker skin.
Into the thick of it.
Yep. So.
Yeah.
All right. And Shalon
Ortiz. Hi, friends. Happy to catch a stream. Thanks as always for all the great information.
You're very welcome. Hey, Will. I was saying earlier about my piercer's quitting. He's in Ireland. He'll be gone till the end of the month, so I won't be 18 for another few months. So I won't be able to slip in his slot.
Oh,
but
okay.
You know what? I don't know what the laws are as far as apprenticeships. I know you can't become a piercer till you're probably 18 because of the whole nipples and genital piercing. But I don't know how it is over there. So maybe you could start apprenticing. You're not going to be able to fill it in right away.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of the situation. You're going to need to find an apprenticeship. And yep. Mm-hmm. Okay, Scott, your mic is kind of quiet compared to the others. Turn it up. There we go. Hopefully that's better for you. Thank you for letting me know. Sorry it's so late. It's an hour and a half in.
Adrena S. I like that. I'm dying to come to Vegas. You should definitely come to Vegas. Come visit us whenever you're ready. And then we've got eye fungus. Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
You should probably see a doctor.
It's always some interesting names.
Eye fungus.
Yeah.
Nice.
What would you say is the best mouthwash and or spray for a tongue piercing? I'm thinking of getting one and have read different things, so I was wondering what y'all would recommend.
Is it still Biotine?
So I personally love Biotine. It's just a standard clean mouth rinse. There's no whitening agents, no alcohol. Like the one for dry mouth is still okay to use. I personally tell people to carry around a bottle of water with them, so that way you're really only using the mouth rinse 2 to 3 times a day, or just when you brush your teeth once or twice a day, whatever it is. But carry around a bottle of water with you. That way when you're eating or drinking anything that is not ice or water, you can rinse your mouth out really well with clean water. So just keeping the piercing clean, leaving it alone, not playing with that jewelry. It's one of the biggest things. Don't click it on your teeth. So
there's lots of good brands, but I like Biotine the best too. And we got
913. Never mind. Scott says I can't get pierced by Kelsey. But in all seriousness, I'm going scuba diving in October and wanted to wait until I get back to set up an appointment.
Yeah.
Absolutely would recommend. Yeah. Wait until you're back. We'll definitely take care of you. Megan Clements. I have a 1-month-old navel piercing and I'm concerned about intimacy with my partner. I've never had a navel piercing while with someone and I am concerned about irritating it during foreplay, etc. Well, I mean, they're not rubbing your belly button.
Hopefully.
I'm a big fan of the Tegaderm in that.
Yeah.
If she wants
that's
Tegaderm, you really don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
That waterproof
wrestling.
band, it's like a
If
piece
you're
of
worried
clear
about
ceramic.
bacteria
That's what
in
it looks
general.
like, yeah.
And then you can really just wrestle and just have fun. And
Yeah.
just, not have that.
Not
Absolutely.
have that worry.
Yeah.
It won't get in the way. And the thing is it's easily ripped or torn if it got caught on something. And it's going to take a good probably like 4 to 6 months minimum to fully heal. So you're right. You want to be careful with it.
Tegaderm being that bandage that just could be that big and just flattens over that whole area there.
Completely protects it.
And completely protecting it if you're not familiar with that type of bandage.
That's a great idea. Thanks, Billy. Look a zoo. I don't know how to... Look a zoo.
Look a zoo.
You know any good piercers in Indiana? I probably do. Again, just DM me on Instagram. My information is in the info about this video. Go ahead and message me, and I'll look around.
Oh yeah. I've been selling to some studios in Indiana for a long time. So so message Kelsey, and then I'll get back to Kelsey with some good answers on that one.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Billy. Myron the Bug. Hi guys, hope you're all having a good day. Question for all of you. What is your favorite piercing of all time? Whether that's on you or someone else or to perform. Scott, what's your favorite piercing right now?
For me, it's like my tattoos. It's always my last one. So my mantis piercings are always my favorite. But I will say if I had to take everything out and just leave one, I would have to compromise on the 2. I'd probably have my nipples pierced forever. If everything had to come out, I'd always have my nipple. I don't know. It just seems so part of me.
Yeah,
but as far as performing, I don't really care what piercing it is as long as it's a cool person. We have a good experience because that's what it's about for me.
Yep. I don't really have a favorite piercing to perform right now. Just the experience in general. I've been having a lot of really awesome experiences with like new and old clients. So it's really super important to me. And as far as my favorite piercing on me, I'd probably say my philtrum. Love my philtrum piercing. Can't really picture myself without it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I had a favorite piercing back in the day. I liked to do a surface punch and taper technique, a surface piercing back here.
Temple area.
Yeah, back in here, vertically, sometimes slanted, and that thing's going to stay forever and ever. There's a piercer at Mom's in San Francisco, Kevin. He's still wearing one that I put in there like 16 years ago.
No
Wait,
kidding.
you should do one on me before you leave. You're leaving.
You got to make sure it's not in the squint area and it's the right area. And I liked that punch and taper technique.
That's dope.
That served me well with a lot of my piercings. I think, like you too, my favorite piercings, I think my nipples I'd always have to keep, being that they're 6 gauge too, they're a little bigger, and I'm always going to be fond of them. But I'm getting a lot of people really love my
It's fantastic.
lip piercing, and I do too. Inverse vertical labret.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Fancy.
We don't pronounce it labert, do we?
No.
Libert.
No.
Labret.
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 Awesome.
Got crazy as Labret.
I say it sometimes to be
Patient
funny.
0. Howdy from Arizona. Is it possible to use a tunnel and a stretched septum to have a stacked ring look? What size would you recommend? I would like to alternate between single piece and stacked. It's totally okay to use something like that. I'd say maybe like a little silicone, plug in there. That way you can actually stack it. It's flexible and,
If you could wear silicone, and if it's already healed up at that time, sure, because getting a metal eyelet in there is not going to be, it's going to have to be double flared for it to stay. So that would mean you would want to stretch up at that time just to get it in, and that could still be done. But I like silicone. Is going to be probably the most comfy, especially when you get the just everyday type of no smashes.
Rub
a nice,
and
comfortable
We're gonna
silicone piece would be
change
great.
screens here because I want to show you guys something here. You can see where the mouse is circling this in the middle here, right where I'm hovering. Those are like clusters where it looks like you have multiple rings going through there. So sometimes you see the picture right next to it might not actually be a cluster, and it's one ring with multiple connected. And I've seen these with as much as like 4 or 5 connected. So this can kind of give a similar type thing if you weren't wanting to fully
we have
stretch
some
too.
really nice pieces
Yeah.
at the shop right now. What is it? It's not Quetzali. It's is it Quetzali?
No, it's not
The
Quetzali.
stacked titanium
Tether,
piece.
perhaps,
Tether, maybe.
Zadimir.
There's more and
Zadimir.
more
from
companies.
Zadimir. It's actually
There's
from
more
here
and
in
more of
Nevada,
that
so-
stuff.
The Zadimir
coming out.
pieces that we
More
have.
and more,
There's
yeah.
a couple of them that are hammered and just like the
And then
detail
welded
the
on the
pieces.
front, and it's just, they're so cool.
Beautiful.
So cool. So yeah, there's a couple options, and you could definitely, as far as like, the thing about when you put a tunnel in there is the hole on the inside is going to be way smaller, and the tunnel's going to be long enough where you have to wear a big enough ring to go all the way
Yeah.
around it, so it's probably not going to work real well unless you had a custom-made double flare extra skinny tunnel in there. It's the only way you could do that.
It would have to be like one of those like little chaos silicone.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yep. So cool.
And then next we have the girl that I buried in my backyard. Oh my
That
god.
you-
I never thought you'd come back. Just kidding. Hello from
Tanzania. Tanzania. Tanzania.
Wow. I've been watching you since 2021. I really
Yay.
want to say thank you. You're like a teacher for me for all of these years. I can't appreciate your help enough. Thank you.
Yay.
Oh, Scott.
You are very welcome. Thanks for being a part of my channel. I appreciate you so much. Yeah, if you're a piercer, awesome. Glad to have you here. It sounds like, unless you're just a super fan and you just really love piercings, and we welcome everyone here.
Come
That's what it's
visit
all about.
us from Africa.
glad I was
or
able
let
to
us
teach
come
you.
visit
Thank
you
you.
someday.
Yeah, definitely.
Brick Johnson, you missed my question. Oh, let me scroll back up. I'm sorry, that was not on purpose, I swear. Everyone's looking right now. See where... Oh, I missed it a while ago.
Let's see here. I'm not seeing it.
You guys aren't seeing it. You'd
I'm
say
not
something.
seeing it anywhere. It was a little yellow icon. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Scroll. Nothing.
We're not seeing it,
We're not-
Brick.
yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you send us? Sorry about that. Can you resend the question? For some reason, we're not seeing it in our literature feed. Type that question out again, and let's get to you on the next round.
Yeah.
On the very next one. Thank you. That's weird.
Let's see. Is it
Going
under,
back down here, trying to look
let's
one
see
more
under
time.
The other super chat, because it's like a yellow icon. It might have mixed in.
There-
Oh wait.
oh, you missed
Oh,
my
no,
question. No,
you
that's
missed
where
my
we're at.
question.
No, I didn't see it.
All right.
Send it
Alrighty.
again here.
Send
So
it again, Brick.
Any
Thank you.
idea? Okay, so we got
Tide Pup.
Tide Pup. Any idea where to commission a custom piercing? I'm wanting to do a 6-gauge septum piercing that looks like an octopus-style fishing hook.
Okay, they're talking about piercing and jewelry. They're talking about two different
Interesting.
things here.
I'm not really sure. Maybe try to find someone who casts
Yeah, you might have to look on Etsy or
Talk to your
something.
local piercer, and the local piercer can think of the company that may want to do something like that.
I can't think of anyone who does custom stuff anymore. Can you? Other brands?
You could talk. There's companies that'll take suggestions. You know, what I mean? Like Body Circle might. You know, I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't really know on that one. Yeah, talk to your piercer, see if they know, but I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
You got Eilish D. Avalon. I have a third eye staple bar, and it looks like it's rejecting. Do I get it removed and wait till I get it re-pierced?
If it's rejecting, for sure, take it out. The more it rejects, the bigger the scar it's going to be, the less chance you'll have to heal it up in the future.
It's hard. I know it's hard sometimes to take out your piercings or retire your piercings. We know you don't want to do it sometimes, but if you know it's rejecting, take that out. You want to minimize that scarring.
Exactly.
I'm seeing if we...
Oh, wait, there's a Brick Johnson right there.
Okay, here it is. So I'll ask my question again. I've had my nipples at a 14 gauge. Is there any reason not to go up to a 12?
Not at all. I had mine pierced at a 14, and I stretched it there at a 10 now.
Yeah, you might actually feel more comfortable at a 12 long term. It's gonna be more comfy and anchor in there. A 14 can get, if you get your 14 caught on a loofah sponge in the shower, you know, it could be a little bit more problematic than if you got that 12 gauge caught in the shower, Scott.
Large gauge is definitely more comfortable. It's like grabbing a single hair compared to a handful of hairs. The larger surface is more comfortable, especially if there's also like nipple play sometime, you know. So it really kind of depends on what you're comfortable. If it doesn't hurt, it doesn't look bad, and you're happy, you don't need to do it.
And you know, hey, jumping up from 14 to 12 is not a big deal size-wise. You're gonna feel that little whoo, know you're alive. But
as long as you've had it for a while.
Yeah, you might find that you'd be looking forward to going up to 10 gauge in a couple months.
It's kind of fun. I really love mine more the bigger I got mine. They fit my body.
I love mine. I realize I can't go bigger with mine. I'm not gonna risk it.
Okay. Yeah. And if you guys haven't already, hit that like and subscribe. We really do appreciate it. And Brandon West. Hi, Scott. I live 2 hours from Vegas. Going to come get pierced soon.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Looking forward to piercing you. Thanks for making the little journey. I really appreciate that. And remind me, say, hey, we talked on chat here, because not everyone does all the time. And sometimes I leave and I'm like, you know, I wish I knew everyone who were chatting on here.
Yeah, you got to say something.
I like connecting faces here. Tony Aragon. Do you guys have sites for jewelry to recommend?
For non-piercers, www.bodyartforms.com.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the only one I recommend, because you can actually handpick what specific company you're actually ordering from, and they have different tiers and stuff.
Companies that we carry, companies that even higher end shops carry, all sorts of different companies that I 10 out of 10 recommend. They even have companies that are on there that are a little bit more like for if someone's on like a budget. So they definitely do carry steel, some silicones, glass, and even just plain titanium stuff. There's so many different options. So they probably have exactly what you're looking for.
And the ones I can recommend the most to stay away from, and the most scary, is going to be Amazon and Etsy. A lot of times people get jewelry from there claiming it's something. It's completely something else, because people know that the word titanium or implant grade, or there's all these selling words which people are looking for, but they don't back it up on Amazon. So people are getting all these random things with all kinds of labels, piercing cures, and it's like...
Would you say, if it's not Body Art Forms, wouldn't you say that anytime a client comes to you and said they got some jewelry online, that it was a disaster?
Yes.
90+% of the time, right?
9 out of 10.
And if it's not a disaster that day, it will be within 2 weeks.
It's so important for you guys to remember what we just said. Every day we have this conversation, nearly every day, where a client says, I got some jewelry online, I thought it was going to be, and there was a problem. All the time. Every time. Consistently. Body Art Forms is probably one we could stand behind.
Yep.
And here's another...
And we can help you figure out what size, what length, what material and everything, the style in general, what might fit, won't fit. So, yeah.
And keep in mind, I know you're trying to save money, but by doing it this way, you're spending more because you got to buy higher quality jewelry to fix the problem of the first one along. So now, not only did you buy the expensive stuff, but you also bought the cheap stuff as well. So when you can just do it once, get the good stuff right away, there's a reason it's a little bit more expensive than the stuff on Amazon. There's a huge reason, because it works and it's the right stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. So.
Alright, and then we got Kestrel Grace. My question got skipped. Weird. Wanted to ask if I can still get nipple piercings if I have a larger chest. Is that doable? And if so, is the aftercare any different? Not necessarily. Same aftercare. I always explain the less pressure the better, so wearing like a super tight fitting bra, you know, anything pushing down on the jewelry. Wear something that has a comfortable support, you know, because the moment that you're wearing like something nice and comfortable supported, like versus the second that you take it off, all of your blood flow is going to go down to where those piercings are, causing throbbing, excess swelling, maybe some bruising and bleeding. So just some light pressure, maybe like a comfortable sports bra or something.
And I have 2 cents on this. Sometimes, and it's not always just larger breasts, but it's if the nipple is flat and flush against the skin and it doesn't protrude, there's a much higher chance of rejection. So if there's not something to actually grab a hold of as far as like a nipple that sticks out, the chance of rejecting is a little bit higher. So that's something to keep in mind too. And yeah, if the nipple sticks out, it's a much higher chance of healing faster with less problems. So, yep. And Cody Hertz got both nostrils pierced at a 4-gauge and double septal. What? Last week?
Wow.
4-gauge start was not nearly as bad as expected.
Nice. Nice.
4-gauge nostrils.
And a double septal. How big is your septum?
Cody, you are a badass.
Yes.
I don't need to see you in the pit.
That's a sentence that kind of made my jaw drop. I wasn't ready to read. I was like, am I reading that right? Both nostrils pierced at a 4-gauge. Not huge.
That's awesome.
And a septal, that's where it goes into the tip, into the septum area, which is already stretched. And
can it be called cestral or no, septral?
Septral.
Septral.
S-E-P-T-R-I-L, yeah. Gnarly. Congratulations. That's awesome. I bet, yeah, you should probably be taking some ibuprofen to get rid of that swelling.
Oh, yeah.
All right, patient 0. I just stretched my septum to an 8-gauge last week. Congratulations.
Nice.
Any suggestions on help the ease of the tenderness?
Ibuprofen. Sleeping slightly elevated, and just riding it through. You're going to need to just ride it through that tender phase. Once it goes away, it'll be perfectly fine.
If you have a ring in there and it is moving around a lot and you're pulling a ton of crusties, sometimes I've taken O-rings and put them on there so the ring doesn't shift as much.
Yeah, in back in the day, some of my clients, in fact, I had to wear O-rings on my CBB to make it from stop moving. So yes, be aware, make sure it's not moving much, and if it is, consider putting O-rings up on each side.
And emu oil.
Clear O-rings,
really
just clear silicone ones and not the black ones.
Yeah, keep the crusties off there and use that emu oil.
And the emu oil.
Yeah. There's a couple suggestions for you. Congratulations. I know the feeling. I've been there before. Okay, Imp Brick Johnson again. We already asked that question. And
Keon00. Name is Keon. Or Kian. Sorry.
Kian.
I've been wanting to become a body piercer, and the closest shop that can take me for an apprenticeship has only one piercer, and there are a lot of complaints from him. Would it be worth it? If there's a lot of complaints about this person as a piercer, the work that they do, etc., then it's not something that I would recommend pursuing.
Read the complaints, though.
Yeah, read the complaints, though. I mean, they could just be, someone mad that, maybe this person is reputable and they won't do a specific piercing because it's not something that should be performed. So maybe
is it the shop owner's problem?
Yeah.
Is it them not ordering the right jewelry and it's out of their hands?
Maybe experience this person for yourself and kind of take it for what it is. Yeah, if they seem like a good fit for you, I mean, I know what it feels like to want to be a piercer so bad that you would just take anything that's available. But I'll sit here and tell you it was so much more worth the wait than taking whatever apprenticeship I could, because I was taught by a few reputable piercers and at a very reputable shop, and I'm really lucky to be where I'm at right now. So Who you learn from is who you are going to become as far as a piercer goes. So if they're not a good person as a piercer, then I wouldn't recommend it.
A lot of people actually move to get apprenticeships. People move to get, it's like,
once you find your piercer, you find your piercer.
The chances of the best college in the world are not probably in your town, and you're going to have to travel and go to a different state, different country to get the education you need.
Or get the college that has the major you want, or is even good at the major, or provides that. It's very similar.
Yeah. So. Well, good luck to you.
He added to it, Kian. He seems to have a bad reputation. Not sure if it would be worth it to learn from him or not.
If
he has a bad reputation, maybe not.
All right, good luck, Kian.
Adriana S. I swear by H2 Ocean. I swear by NeilMed.
Yeah, we swear by NeilMed.
You know what? They're both great products.
In our area, because we live in dry, heated desert, H2 Ocean, for whatever reason, dries out piercing.
It has like 30 some other additives.
It has so much more stuff in it than just like a plain, simple, sterile saline solution. So it really depends on where you're at. If you're somewhere where it's a little bit more humid, you have more, like your body can like moisturize itself or produce like oils and everything. But yeah, here we're just super dry. So NeilMed, it's perfect.
Yeah,
simple, sterile saline solution. H2 Ocean, it's very salty, and anybody who I have ever experienced that uses it, they just have dry, crusty, flaky skin and bumps around their piercing. So it's not for here.
Probably location, And if it works for you, cool. I've had people say like, I only clean mine with soap and water and I've never had a problem. Well, if you've never had a problem, don't change up what you're doing. I mean, normally that causes problems for a lot of people, but people can heal things up in amazing ways. Our bodies are pretty amazing and resilient to a lot of the small wounds we actually...
Right, and the NeilMed, if the H2 Ocean works for you and you love it, that's amazing, that's great, keep it up. If NeilMed works for them, keep it up. Yep. Some people don't want to use or need to use either of them, and again, it keeps going back to the climate that you live in.
So I personally don't use anything on my piercings other than just a nice hot shower every single day and letting the warm water rinse over it. Maybe for the first 3 to 6 weeks I will occasionally use a sterile saline solution, but as long as I just forget that I even had the piercing done and I just make sure that it's clean in the shower, my piercings heal up really well. My flat piercing I had done not even 6 months ago, and I've already downsized the jewelry to what I feel is probably the shortest jewelry for it. And everyone is different. I don't know if you guys heard any of that.
Yeah, I don't know if they heard everything. It's just you're getting a little bit more distant. I'm like, you're leaning way far back. Microphone's up here. So.
Back up here, Snoop Dogg.
And I've said this to so many of my clients. There's no chemical or drug that's going to heal this for you. Only you can heal it up. We're trying to prevent problems, and that's what these solutions do, is they generally get rid of most of the germs on the outside and the crusties, which cause a majority of the issues. So
a good piercer is going to tell you less is best. Often you don't need that product. Sometimes they help, but often you don't need it.
All right, and Ursula's odds and sods. Could a septum pincher be worn in earlobes, or is it only meant for the septum?
It can be worn in a lot of different things. If it fits, it sits.
I think the true title is just called pincher. I don't know if a lot of people wear the septum, but it's just a pincher, so it can be worn wherever.
I've seen pinchers in earlobes. I've seen pinchers in nipples. I've seen pinchers in navels. I've seen pinchers in lots of different areas.
I think the big advantage why a lot of people wear them in their septums is because it's up enough where there's my hiccups. I get them every episode, it seems like. Nice. They're up high enough where you can't see the O-ring, so you just see the pinches. So,
Nice.
All right. Where are we? That was
we got I show down here. I'm Japanese, and piercing wasn't in our culture until recently. Many believe that earlobes represent good fortune, so piercing them is a big no. Does piercing mean anything in your culture or tradition? I actually did have a client from Japan come in with her family, and she grew up with this, with the culture understanding that if you were to get your earlobes pierced, you would be broke. So I actually did double flats with the Invictus what is it? Virtual media. What is it? Virtual medium is what I call it.
Okay.
The VMCZ.
Vitral medium.
Vitral medium. I don't know.
The color of the stone. I heard virtual. I was like, you did a phone app thing?
Vitral medium. And 14 karat crowns, like set in the big 4mm. It's really cool. Looked really nice. But yeah, no, this is now the second time I've ever heard of that. I've never heard of that before in my life. Culture and tradition here, we don't really have any.
We steal from all the other ones.
Yeah, we steal them from all the other ones. Yeah,
we all have our culture, and I'd be surprised if you really don't have any piercings somewhere if you look back far enough in your culture. I feel like almost every culture had something going on at one point in time. Sometimes you have to look pretty far back though, because even cave people had piercings and tattoos.
Yeah, the one of the things, which is one of those big. Just the whole right or the left side. The right side is the gay side, the left side is not. There is no such thing as a gay or a straight side for piercing. You won't get the gay. Yeah, you won't get the gay. You're not going to look gay. I mean, but to save you the drama, I will, bring that up. Like, hey, this is what people think. It's not true. So if you still want to do this side, a lot of people use it as a statement. In a lot of cases, I've pierced a lot of right earlobes, and it's awesome. But yeah, there is no, gay or straight side for piercing. Unless you're gay, your piercing's not gay. So let's have all the gay piercings. I love it.
Going back to culture, the Japanese asking about cultural and piercings. I thought a unique factoid is that the Kama Sutra, the Ampelang is mentioned in the Kama Sutra as a gift to one's lover.
Oh,
really? Okay.
I can
see that. But that's more private because that's an actual genital piercing. So it's probably one of the subcultures that might not have been into the main culture, but maybe it was. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Cool. So another fun thing about the right earlobe piercing too, and a lot of people don't know about, is I believe sailors in the Navy, if you traveled around the world, would get their right ear pierced, and if you traveled 2 laps around the world, you got both ears pierced.
Yeah, that's very.
Cool.
Navy had a lot of those, with their tattoos.
So it's not just one
equatorial
culture.
Traveling, they would do that. So the sailors had a lot of, if they traveled to certain places or went certain journeys, would get some tattoos or modifications.
And I wonder how that's tied in with pirates. Pirates would wear their gold so if they got in trouble, they could pay off. Yeah. They would take the gems out and use that as a way to hold their money. So.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fun.
Very cool. Actually, I want to know more about, other people's cultures and traditions. So, put in the comments, wherever you're from, if there's any sort of a piercing or anything culture tradition wise.
Yeah, the earlobe thing is the only thing that I knew about. Yeah. There's a lot of myths, but that's different than the cultures. Like if you pierce your ear, you can paralyze half your body or your face.
Right. Pierce your tongue, you're gonna lose your taste buds.
Yeah.
Then we've got next up, drag the blade. What are ways to enhance piercing skills while trying to land a job and get good with a parlor? I'm not really sure if maybe you're piercing at home or if you're already working in a studio, or are you piercing somewhere that's not super reputable and now trying to get into a reputable parlor? There's a lot of factors in that question. I don't really know.
You need an apprenticeship. If you're not a piercer, you need an apprenticeship, someone to teach you. Otherwise, you're just getting a bunch of bad habits. That's most likely what the case is.
You're not actually learning.
You don't see when you're cross-contaminated. You don't understand what you're doing wrong until you have someone who's been doing this a long time can point these things out for you. Now, if you're a piercer and you're just trying to get better while you're with the parlor, you should be looking at podcasts like Ryan Ouellette's Piercing Wizard podcast is amazing. Pay attention here. We talk about this is more for the consumer more than the piercer, but I mean, there's still information you can get, and just never stop learning. Network. Talk to people.
Yeah. Make friends.
Yep.
And then we've got Will Jones. Someone was talking about putting in internally threaded jewelry and having difficulties. I find that on my healed piercings, that's a big part, that spinning the bar makes it easier to line it up.
Fist bump. Yeah, for real. That's I do the same thing.
Only. I mean, even then, you can irritate your healed piercing by rotating jewelry like that. But I mean, it is a little bit more.
But at
lax.
the same time, you shouldn't be really changing jewelry without cleaning it and lubricating it so you don't do damage to the piercing.
Right.
So if it's lubricated, it should spin fairly easy. But you're right, you shouldn't be changing it until it's healed up anyways.
Exactly.
Unless you're in a situation where the bead just fell out and you need to get it back in, then you're still
that's
struggling.
A pretty good pointer there.
Yeah.
You know, twisting the actual
Thank you so
barbell,
much,
like
Will.
lining up the threading on the top and then twisting the post itself. You know.
You know, Will always has such amazing comments and questions. I hope you really do pursue a career in this industry because I think you will be good at it. You ask all the right questions.
Good luck,
and you make
Will.
great comments.
Yeah.
So, yeah, props to you, Will. All right, and Alexis, I think we're going to take just a couple more. We're reaching the 2-hour point. Let me see how many more questions we have, see if we can.
Oof.
We got a few. Did I miss the...
Where were we?
Oh, right there. We don't have that much.
Yeah, we really don't have very many, but
Okay, we're going to go through this in the fast style, and we always never do, but we're going to try.
Alexis, perfect. Thanks for the answers. Going to book the Spider Bites tomorrow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then next up, Damien, cottage cheese. I love cottage cheese. I currently have a fully healed tongue piercing, and I'm planning on getting a second one right behind it. Will it affect my healed one at all? I love you, Scott. You're a huge inspiration to me.
Thank you. Love you too. Now, here's the thing. If you haven't had your tongue checked, you kind of need to have it checked. This is the thing, is your tongue is kind of like an L where it goes in and down your throat. And that's how it rests in your mouth. So you can only go back so far. Now, when you stick your tongue out, it kind of stretches out like that and may give the illusion like you can go further back, but it won't rest naturally in your mouth. So you can only go so far back. So I hope that works for you.
And
now,
you would maybe need to switch out the healed jewelry to
Exactly.
something slightly longer just
will
to
swell
allow
again.
for swelling for the new piercing, because if that bar in there is like nice and short and snugged up and then you got this fresh piercing right behind it, it's just going to swell right back up.
It
so
won't.
give yourself room.
Second one's way easier than the first one, but you still will swell.
But
So,
ultimately, when they're healed, you want the shortest bars that you can
Absolutely.
have in
To
there.
prevent the damage.
Yeah, to prevent
Absolutely.
damage.
Mouth safe. When you find a friend, thanks for the suggestions. Awesome. You're very
it's
welcome.
when you can't find a friend.
When you can't find a friend. Oh,
See, that's why we're here. We're here because we found friends.
Oh, you
Yeah.
found us. When you can't find a
Yay.
friend, you have 3 friends right here.
yes. Eilish de Avalon. My surface bar looks like it is rejecting.
It's in the
Yeah,
third eye position.
We went
Yep.
Okay,
through
we
that.
talked about that.
Adriana, love you guys. Keep getting knocked off, so signed off. Y'all stay at it amazing as you are. Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
And then we got CT back again. Thank you. I was thinking of using hangers for stretching, so that is good information to know. I'm still interested in rat earrings, though, Billy. I will reach out to you. Thank you guys again so much.
Thank you, CT.
Earrings like that can be worn even the more you stretch. So the sooner you get them, you can keep wearing them. You just don't wear them all the time. They're like the fancy ones. You're like, I feel good. We're going to wear the rat earrings tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Underground EDC, what is up?
Hey, welcome in. The first time seeing your comment here. They're normally here almost every
Yeah.
episode. So.
Then we've got Jack. What piercing has the fella who isn't Scott gotten his lip? Can't make it out. Might be the jewelry.
Okay, so it's the piercing is
His name's
an
Billy.
inverse vertical labret.
Can you kind of lean into
And
the thing again?
so I'm
This
going to go towards the camera
is just
again.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I feel like I'm distorting. Yeah, see how it
Got
kind
a
of...
real chunky BVLA piece in there. If you don't know what BVLA is, it is a very, very high-end jewelry company. Gorgeous. They've got some
Yep.
gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous stuff.
Yeah, so it just
Very
sits on the
pricey,
flat of the lip,
but gorgeous.
doesn't get in the way, and you've had it how long now?
I've had the piercing for about 5 years.
That's
I've had this jewelry
fully
for
in there, yeah.
probably close to 2 years or
That's
something.
awesome.
Wow.
It's just I don't even know it's there. It's so comfy, it's great. I love it.
Yep.
Love
Thank you.
Emily Hammond, I keep getting a small bump near my snakebite piercing. It disappears, then comes back. Is it going to stop coming back at some point? Yes, piercing bumps will come and go as they please until they stop coming around. Just continue to keep it clean and leave it alone. You'll know when it is fully healed.
And be aware if you're irritating, you're causing the bump to come
Yep.
back. Sometimes you get in the habit of, biting or playing with your piercing, and that could be it. So be
Yep.
aware of what you're doing throughout the day. Why is the bump there?
And then drag the blade. Good advice. Awesome.
Thank you.
And Dionys, at Jack. It looks like he has tooth over or other material vertical break. No. CT, I have to head off, but I will be in Vegas this weekend. I hope I get a chance to stop by and say hello in person. Have a great Wednesday, and I hope the power comes back on at the shop soon. We do too.
We do too.
We hope the problem gets solved pretty soon.
I feel bad canceling appointments. It just feels awful. I'd rather be piercing people. Yeah.
And we hope to see you too.
Thank you.
Definitely stop by.
And say hi.
Yeah,
yes.
stop by and say hi.
And Nicole Marino.
I have a piercing bump or a keloid on my nose. I'm almost positive it's a keloid. What do I do to get rid of it? So the difference between a keloid and a piercing bump. A keloid will stick around and it just gets bigger and bigger and worse and worse.
It's a medical condition. You would generally know if you get...
Usually a dermatologist or a doctor will be able to tell you exactly what it is, but sometimes dermatologists do mistake piercing bumps for keloids, and then they'll try to cut it off, and then there's all this other stuff. So the difference between that keloid that just sticks around and then the piercing bump itself, the piercing bump will come and go as it pleases. It'll look really ugly, and then it'll dry up and fall off and then do whatever, and then it's fine, and then it'll come back. Typically it'll do that for about 4 to 6 months, sometimes even a full year. Just depends on on the nose. So on the nose, it can come and go as it pleases for like 6 months to a year. So just wait it out.
From irritation. That's from getting a caught. So if you caught a towel and yanked and all of a sudden a bump, it's not a keloid. It's just a piercing bump.
Or you're putting makeup around your piercing. Makeup is a nostril piercing's #1 worst enemy. I do not recommend getting it anywhere near.
I thought a towel was. It's a tough close. Tough close for #1.
Oils, lotions, all that good stuff.
Keloids and infections are the most misused terms in our industry.
Absolutely.
Anytime a client mentioned keloid, 99 out of 100 times they're just mean a little piercing bump, hypertrophic scarring, whatever.
Yep, absolutely. So, and Michelle Valentine going to Vegas for Valentine's. I'll be visiting y'all. Might be getting a double philtrum done then.
Woo-hoo.
That would be
as long as you have the anatomy for it. I am so game.
Yeah, gotta have that anatomy.
Yes.
And Vinay says,
sparkle, praying hands, sparkle, sunshine,
and a ghost, and a lightning bolt.
Cute.
Okay.
And then Alicia, is an inverse vertical labret the same as an Ashley piercing, or is it different?
It's a different angle.
It is a different angle.
And it's done with a curved
Ashley
barbell.
Piercing goes straight through the lip, and then the inverse vertical labret actually goes like center top and then down into the bottom, kind of much like a vertical labret would, where the bead comes out here on the bottom and then right here on the top. Instead, it comes out right here on the top and then on the inside on the bottom. So, pretty cool.
Sarah Wardle, is there a piercing that is more prone to irritation bumps? Probably nostrils.
Anything cartilage.
Cartilage.
Cartilage mixed with soft tissue a lot of times. So.
And the nostril, it's almost all the ways between weeks 6 and 11.
Yep. People
almost always.
You think you're in the gold. You think you're in the clear. And
always that time period.
Knock on the road.
Totally
Here. It's like,
dang it. Blanca Haloxy, would you recommend getting 2 tongue piercings next to each other horizontally? Would the swelling be too much? Or too much, do you think? I don't recommend horizontal tongue piercings whatsoever, unless you mean like
parallel
like this to each other.
Parallel vertical ones are okay, but sideways,
absolutely can
no
do
way.
Those, but horizontal like this on the top of your tongue, absolutely not. California man, hey Scott, between the Prince Albert Apodravia or Ampling, which one of those is transurethral? In the case of the European Ampling, will not make standing up and peeing challenging?
Correct. The European style goes above the urethra. An Ampling is horizontal through the head. The European style goes above the urethra. American style is through the urethra. Most of the time I go through the urethra because your urine is sterile to your own body and you're healing 2 separate things, and also from the inside out. If it's the European style, it's a lot longer healing process, but it's just image, it's just the what you want and what you like. And which one of these is transurethral? The Apodravia 100% is going to be transurethral. And absolutely same thing with the Prince Albert. Prince Albert goes right in the urethra. It goes in the tip of the penis and out the bottom of the back of the head. So all of those basically are going to be transurethral. I haven't seen too many of the European style Amplangs. So if you came in for an Amplang, let me know that you wanted European style.
If there's ever a difference between which one it is that you want, make sure that you specify. That's the word.
So Cool.
Billy.
Great question. And Cody Hurt, septum was the 7/16.
Sick.
Wow.
Oh, this was the double
That's
septal.
the reason why you had septal.
Can't wait. Yeah, can't wait
So
to be able to stretch
Oh,
it back
wow.
up again. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And
So
it stretches
sick.
back up fairly quick. Just be
Yeah.
patient to make
What a
sure you don't
badass.
hurt those septal piercings.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Yeah,
I
do you
love
hear
it.
what?
I
Yeah,
know,
you hear what
that's-
Scott just said. Make sure when you're stretching that septum back up, you don't irritate those
It
septrals.
will go back up, and it will. But you just got to be
Yeah.
patient. So.
They're right close to each other.
Ooh, and then,
Oh.
ugh. What pain scale is a vertical Brett? It is really not terrible whatsoever. And just like any piercing, we always get in our own heads about how terrible this piercing is going to be versus other ones that we have.
Biting your lip hurts more.
Yeah.
It's if you've had other lip piercings, this one's a little bit more pinchy because there's a little bit more nerves on the upper part, but
on
it's
the
still
top part of
totally
the lip,
tolerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soul pain. Hey, I've started stretching my earlobes using the tape method. How many wraps should I do per stretch? Very little by little. It depends
on the tape.
Depends on the tape you're using. We always recommend not adhering tape, so bondage tape, plumber's tape, anything that doesn't have that sticky, gooey, gluey stuff.
Isn't like Teflon tape plumber stuff? Isn't that like 1/64th of an inch or 120? It's one of those. And
Something.
so it kind of
like
depends.
I know that some of them are thicker than others, so it really just depends. When you are stretching and doing the taping method, you're really only supposed to tape up to the size between what you're at versus, you know, what your goal is. You know, like stretching up like little by little by little every like 3 to 6 to 8 weeks is really what I recommend as far as stretching. When taping, I'm okay with 3 to 6 weeks ish, you know, because it is a very slow stretch so long as the ear isn't in pain, swollen, anything like that.
I mean, most of the time you're stretching about 1 millimeter. So if you take that tape and you put two of them together, like how close is that to 1 millimeter thick? Because that's kind of shows how much. So you might need to do a couple wraps every few days, but if you can't get it in, that's too much. Yep.
Then Will Jones. When pirates had earrings, if they were gold, they had them be the price of a coffin if they washed
That's
up
what
on
it
shore.
was. See what I
Wow,
mean,
super
Will?
interesting.
Yeah,
So
yep.
cool.
So that's their burial money, is their earrings.
Burial money.
Yep.
Cool.
So cool.
Sarah Wardle, Will Jones. Yeah, I heard something similar.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then
I knew
we
there
got
was something to it.
taco. Ooh, tacos.
That does sound good, doesn't it?
Tacos.
Tacos
Let's
for
do
lunch?
tacos for
Okay.
lunch.
Okay.
Okay, tacos Tijuana. So I'm thinking about getting my cheeks pierced, but I keep hearing it's actually not good for your cheeks. It depends on, you know, who you have them pierced by, if they are familiar or experienced in cheek piercings. The length of jewelry is very important for the initial piercings because you do get chipmunk cheeks. Swelling is really bad initially, and looking out for the specific areas in your cheeks that can and cannot be pierced through. So just do your research, find a reputable piercer. Yeah.
And Nicole Marino, thank you for the advice. The bump I have feels so hard. Put a nose ring in it and it gets bigger, but when you leave the nose piercing out, it goes down a little bit. It seems like it's been 6 months that I have it. Put the stud in and leave that for a while until that bump completely goes away for maybe a month or two and try it again later. Yeah. The rings have too much movement, too much curve in there. That's why you have the bump.
Just put a stud in, leave it in.
Yeah. Sarah Wardle, you guys are awesome and seem to have such lovely such lovely people. Thank you for being so kind. You are very welcome.
Thank you.
We're
And
lucky
you're
to have
correct.
such good friendship here, and we only attract the best other people too. So everyone here is always just amazing. So lucky.
Thank you.
And Cody Hertz, my amplang is not transurethral. It's European.
Nice.
Yeah, awesome.
Nice.
And bro,
You for real? I made it. Yes.
Yes.
Good to have you.
And we're just getting ready to end. And the last comment of the night
Cody
is
again.
I had been up and down from half inch to my septum a few times over the years.
Nice.
Cool.
Sometimes there's a max you can go and the body says
There
no,
will
it's not
be,
comfortable.
and especially with the septum. There's gonna be a max. Don't push it, Cody. Don't
The
push
biggest
it.
I could go was a 0 and it never felt comfortable. 2 is what was always comfortable for me.
You
so.
got to a great big size. It's amazing.
Yeah,
and
that
I'm
is
not saying you
incredible.
can't go bigger either, but you know, just always play it rational.
Yep. So
And then Alicia.
thank you guys. Love these lives so much. Really appreciate you and all the time you taking out and for all the great advice. Hope you have a great day. And you know what? We hope you all have a great day too. This is where we're going to end this today. We got through all the questions. I think this is the first time ever we've actually blasted through all of them. So we appreciate each and every one of you. And like always, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and keep putting holes in your body.